Welcome to the news belt of the AM show. In our first story, residents of Ekumfi in the central region are asking government to fix long-standing health challenges in the area. They say the lack of a proper emergency center, top-notch medical facilities and poor road networks make it difficult for healthcare officials to deliver optimal care and save lives. There's more in this report.
The Otom Model Health Center of Excellence, which is saddled with a lot of challenges. From a faulty, rickety ambulance that's not been used for more than a year to a records room that's barely hanging by the thread and an admission ward that can only house 3 patients at a time, the health center is overwhelmed.
We have a lot of challenges in Otom Model Health Center, starting from the outpatient department, which is the OPD. There are a bit of challenge as in office space. The records rooms are very, very small, very stuffy, and then a consulting room too. They don't have consulting, the couch for examination, and then the detention room, they just have only 3-bed capacity, which is not really favorable because we get a lot of cases to attend to. The laboratory too is very stuffy, and then we lack a lot of logistics for running the lab.
From here, the team docked at the Eswesia Model Health Center of Excellence. Here, we realized the ambulance had also been parked, not functional. The roof leaks badly anytime it rains, and the facility's lab is substandard, making it difficult to do a proper lab test. The standby power plant has also been out of service for a while, forcing healthcare workers to sometimes halt healthcare delivery anytime the power goes off.
We also have challenges with our ambulance. It's not been on the road for some time now because of some engine issues and then some other body works as well. Our plant is also in a very, it needs some servicing, and some we need to look at it because we are unable to work when the lights go out as well.
We are encountering a lot of problems with the issue of biohazards with the space. We also have a problem with our machineries, with the issue of hematological analyzer. We can't do full blood counts.
The situation isn't different at the Nakwa Polyclinic, the constituency's biggest and most modern health facility. No ambulance, small laboratory, faulty mechanized borehole that's yet to be fixed, and a shortage of prime staff makes healthcare delivery here difficult, especially for a hospital that was commissioned quite recently in 2018.
Looking at our water problem, this time around we have a very big problem with water because we don't have water to run the whole facility. We buy water from outside, so it's a big challenge for us. And also the staff here have accommodation issues. It's a big problem because this place is more or less like a village where people don't build houses to rent out. So when we came here, it was very difficult, and we have staff who want to come here, but because of accommodation, most of them finally go on transfer again because there's no place for them to stay and work.
We sought to find out how authorities are solving these problems to alleviate the plight of patients who throng these facilities. Dr. Regina Ahuno-Ama is a Ekumfi District Director of Health.
The challenges within the district are very peculiar challenges, which I must say are not insurmountable. Most of them have been brought to my notice, and myself and my team, we have contacted our stakeholders, the Regional Health Directorate, the chiefs, our Honorable MP, and well-meaning citizens of Ekumfi. The roof issue at Eswesia, I think the problem is beyond patching up. It's an issue of more or less trying to replace almost the entire roof. And the financial capacity of the directorate and the facility will not be able to do that as at now. So we have contacted our Honorable MP once again in the Assembly, and we are hoping for favorable response so that we can be able to curb that issue.
For patients who frequent these facilities, patience is a virtue that may pay off soon.
Now, a Deputy Director of Health in the Northern Region, Dr. Kwame Techi, is advocating for the inclusion of oral health services on the National Health Insurance Scheme. He's worried that 96% of Ghanaian adults between 34 and 44 suffer from gum disease. Martina Bugri has the rest of the story.
Currently, the National Health Insurance Scheme covers some oral health service. However, Dr. Kwame Techi emphasizes that oral health is a broad field that can be costly, necessitating its inclusion in the National Health Service Scheme. Speaking at a celebration to mark this year's World Oral Health Day in Tamale, Dr. Aduayedin said the state of oral health in the northern region is not something one can be proud of.
Plead with policymakers that they help get most of these oral health services on a national health insurance scheme, so that it can make it more accessible, especially to people in the hard to reach, in the local communities, and also in the private areas. Cover some of them, like cleaning and polishing, and some minor procedures. But oral health is vast and broad. You may want to do a procedure that may even involve replacing, your tooth. Or maybe have to even wear braces. Braces cost a lot of money. People may have certain dentition that even makes them have poor self-image. So all these things, at least can help, everyone can support. We believe that can be made accessible to everyone.
He also stressed the need for resourcing dental units in hospitals to ensure they can provide adequate care.
The oral health indicator in our reporting format, the DIMS, is low. And then the northern region happens to be one of the low-performing regions when it comes to oral health services. And it's something that brings to mind that there's a wake-up call for us to all rise up and ensure that we provide the necessary equipment, we attract dental surgeons and other cadre of dental professionals so that we can help improve access. Looking at the current challenges that we are facing with respect to human resource, and also with respect to facilities or accessibility, especially in hard-to-reach or deprived areas.
Kingsford Bagbin has commissioned the Yamransa Model Lab 14 in Kalio in the Upper West region. He described the state-of-the-art facility as a symbol of innovation and a gateway to a brighter future. The ICT lab is set to enhance teaching and learning in the Nadoli Kalio enclave and connect the area to the world. Over the next few years, about 5,000 students will benefit from the project at no cost. JoyNews' Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports.
The state-of-the-art facility, established at the request of Speaker of Parliament Alban Somman Kingsford Bagbin and funded by him, aims to advance science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics education in his home district, Nadolu Kalio. The project, codenamed Yamransa Model Lab, is the fourth time to be commissioned in 13 regions in the country since its inception in 2016, with plans to expand to the Savannah and Upper East regions through government partnerships. Dr. Diboro Rose is the president of Helping Africa Foundation, who partnered the speaker for the project.
In 2016, at the urging of Mr. Arieku, we decided to deploy our cutting-edge ICT center design by building at least one Yamransa Model Center in each of the 16 newly formed regions of Ghana. We are now gathered in the midst of Yamransa Model Lab 14 in the Upper West region of Ghana.
The magnificent edifice is equipped with information and communication technology, ICT resources, multimedia content, a maker space with robotics, augmented reality, virtual reality, learning tools, and 3D printing technology. The 36-seater EduLab also has a conference room designed to provide students with hands-on experience to complement their classroom learning. Project Director and Chief Executive Officer of Implementers, Kafiu Premier, gave further detail about the project.
In this facility, we do have 4 key rooms Two of those key rooms have computer labs, which we call the Edu Lab. There's a state-of-the-art computers that consume only 1/10 of the power of a normal computer. The other room is filled with robotics equipment that would help with the creativity of the students.
Speaker of Parliament and promoter of the Yamansa Morala 14, Afenyo-Markin Bagwin, who was excited about the commissioning of the project, stated that it symbolizes their collective and unwavering commitment to education, technology, community engagement, and sustainable development.
So when you are in this structure and you assess the system, you can get information on any subject that is desirable in the world, the whole world. So when you are here, e-library is available. E-library, the books that they sell, you can access them. The only thing is, we have done our best to eliminate injurious information. That one you can't access it. Those of you who think that you can come and get porno and all those, you won't get it.
Afenyo-Markin paid laudations and encomiums on the partners, especially Help in Africa Foundation.
This lab represents more than just the bricks and mortar. It embodies the spirit of innovation and the promise of a brighter future. This is a lab where dreams will be nurtured, ideas will be cultivated, and solutions to pressing challenges will be discovered.
There were statements of commitment from the Nodolo District Assembly, District and Regional Education Office, and the managers of the facility to ensure its efficient use and sustainability. This magnificent state-of-the-art ICT facility is expected to give a facelift to the teaching and training of ICT in the Nodolo Enclave and the Upper West region at large. It is expected that over 5,000 students are to benefit from the project. It's actually free. Students who come into this facility are not supposed to pay a dime. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam, Keleo.
Let's talk munitions now. And the National Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons is rolling out an inventory-taking process of weapons used in musketry and their handlers during traditional events. Partnering the security services, the users of these firearms will be properly trained to handle the arms with the goal of protecting lives and property. As it stands, regulations on firearms are silent on musketry, a situation that has contributed to security breaches during traditional ceremonies. Nana Yaujima now reports.
Firing of musketry has become an important part of most cultural events in the country, but the poor handling of firearms has resulted in loss of lives and injuries during display. In February this year, a newly enskinned Nungwa Gamukwen was killed during a cultural ceremony. Journalist Kofi Adoma got injured in the eye after charged gunpowder was shot into his eyes. Acting Executive Secretary of the National Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons, Dr. Adam Bona, is worried about the fatalities suffered during firing of musketry.
One of your colleagues in the media, is it Kofi Adoma also? Someone who is not trained fires a weapon, a musketry, and he has gunpowder, charged gunpowder. Charged gunpowder is different from gunpowder. That goes into his eyes and he has challenges. The Babubulomo, they were outdooring one of their queen mothers. Someone emptied, bullets into the woman. Unfortunately, she also died. It means that people are breaking, doing things that must not be done. In the past, musketries were fired and people were not injured. But today, they are firing pump action guns with lethal pellets.
In dealing with the situation, the Commission has commenced processes to mark arms and offer training to persons tasked to fire musketry. Dr. Bona expects traditional authorities to support the rollout of inventory taking.
So one of the things we are also doing we have spoken to the Babu Lomo, and we are going to be meeting the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs. The National House of Chiefs is to start marking weapons that are used in festive occasions, so that you are attacked like a media person who is going into a conflict zone. You wear your press dress. So the commission gives you an attire, and your weapon is marked. If an infiltrator comes in, not properly kitted or attired, with an unmarked weapon, we immediately will neutralize you.
The absence of a legal framework to regulate the use of arms has been identified as part of the cause of arms proliferation. The Commission is courting public support for the passage of the arms bill.
So the Minister of the Interior, Honorable Mubarak, and the President in his first SONA did mention strengthening legal framework for arms in this country, literally talking about us. And so we have been told that by the middle of this year, May, or tentatively June, the bill will be passed into law. And so we will be visiting, hopefully, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament. He traveled by his back, so we'll be going there. Once we leave here, he is likely to be the next person we visit, soliciting all of them support.
The two-day retreat of staff of the National Commission on Small Arms and Light Weapons was to train staff to improve their roles in national security. For JoyNews, Nana Ojima, Kumasi.
In our next story, President John Dramani Mahama has announced that government will pay teacher and nursing trainees allowances through the Controller and Accountant General's Department. Speaking during his thank you tour in the northern region, he said this would ensure that the allowance was paid regularly to students, just as the CAGD disbursed salaries to government workers.
There's good news for nursing and teacher trainees. Nursing and teacher trainees allowances are to be paid directly by the Controller and Accountant General. This has been made a part of the compensations item in the budget. This will permanently eliminate the delay in trainees receiving their allowances. This means that anytime public sector workers receive their monthly salaries, teacher and nursing trainees will also receive their allowances. The Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment has launched technical committees to oversee the execution of the Ejumawura program and the National Apprenticeship program, which were major promises in the NDC manifesto.
Well, up next, we bring you our business update with Sweetie Abochi.
Hello there, let's do business update now. The Chief Executive Officer of the Association of Ghana Industries, Seth Chumakwabwa, has called for practical measures to link research findings to industries to help drive economic growth. According to him, a seamless link will enable the industry sector produce at lower cost to optimize their operation. And he spoke to Joy Business.
We know that our research institutions are doing pretty well, but there's still a big gap between what industry needs, products that we need to solve our problems, and what they are able to research and innovate. They are doing well in the sense that within the limited resource constraint, they are still able to come up with products and technologies. The challenge has been transitioning from developing the products, the concepts, into practical manufactured products. It's always been the biggest challenge. I know CSR, we collaborate with them. They've come up with some products that have been commercialized, which is great, but there are several ones that are still sitting on the shelves, and we are unable to commercialize it. And I guess it's probably because of the weak link between industry and academia.
As part of efforts to reduce the cost and time of trading through the West African countries, Trademark Africa, a leading African aid for trade organization, has launched the Making Trade Work for Women in West Africa project in Ghana. The 4-year project, in partnership with the Canadian High Commission and CECI, will see the commitment of $14 million. Chief Executive Officer of Trademark Africa, David Beer, explained the project, which aligns with Africa Continental Free Trade Area and will boost women-led activities in the private sector.
Trademark Africa, we are an organization that exists to reduce the time and the cost of trading across borders. We have been working in Ghana for 2 to 3 years now in support of the government and the private sector, but also the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat. We are delighted to be launching this program with the support of the Canadian government, 20 million Canadian dollars, and in partnership with the NGO CECI, in order to make it easier for women to trade across borders. We believe that it is extremely important that trade benefits all parts of society. This project will focus on reducing gender-based discrimination at borders, working with border officials and traders. It will also enhance Ghana's integration into the AfCFTA and the ability of women to benefit from that. And we will work on improving regional value chains, in particular those that benefit women.
That makes our business stories this morning on the AM News. Back to you, Ben.
Well, thank you very much, Sweetie Awachi. And that's how. But stay. Up next, we're going to serve you the news review. Our guests will join us. We'll be right back.
On the AM Show. And the AM Show is brought to you by Waylead Properties. This morning, Ben and I are in the studio to steer the conversation. So we're going to review the newspapers. And our guest joining us is Mr. Alfred Thompson. He's former Deputy Managing Director of NIB. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm fabulous. And I can see that Ben is matching me. So yeah, of course, I'm fabulous.
That's great. You know, there's something that we've been trying to find out. I don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. The people who have served on this show with me, there tends to be, for some reason, you wake up, put on an attire, completely oblivious to what the next person is.
And
you come and I can vouch for not less than 60-70% of the time. And it's been happening with her. I've been teasing her that, hey, what is going on? I mean, today it's not that obvious. It's not that obvious today, but there are
connection from the house.
I don't know. There must be something.
Anyway, how was your weekend? What's on your mind? Let's get
the weekend was okay, quite cool. The only thing that happened was I saw this name. Is it Brigadier General Glover Ashon Annan being reassigned? So it kept ringing a bell in my mind. What is happening? Is it that we don't take our time to assign, or we'll just assign and then reassign? When you do that, you cause a lot of...
Is it Glover you're speaking of?
Yeah.
Glover.
Is it Glover they call? Yeah, Glover.
Okay.
Annan. Right. He's now been made Commissioner General for...
Yes, I saw the...
So I was asking, this is not the first time. I think we need to not rush in taking decisions, but making sure that we take the right decisions at the right time, because some of these things need this knee-jerk approach or this immediate change is not too good for governance, and that is what came up.
Okay, so let's get to the newspapers. There are a lot of them. I'll start with the Daily Graphic. On the front page, you can't be a minor in government. President Mahama to appointees, and we'll start there, but let me finish the stories on the front page. Renamed Tamale Airport after Nagbewa. Yana appeals to President Mahama. Efficient shift system, key to 24-hour economy success, according to KPMG. Omni-B SIC Bank doubles profit to 314 million cedis. So President John Dramani Mahama has directed no government appointee should engage in any form of illegal or legal mining. Quote, if you want to be a miner, leave the government and be a miner. You can't be in government and be a miner at the same time, President John Dramani Mahama declares. And the president was speaking at the launch of the Tree for Life Reforestation Initiative at the Kufuor Park in Kwawe in the Ashanti region last Friday. Mr. Thompson, what do you think about the president's directive or instruction, should I call it a declaration, that you cannot be a miner and be in government? Is this a display of the political will that we said was lacked in the previous administration in terms of our quest to eradicate this Galamsey menace? Is this a step in the right direction? What do you think?
Good morning once again, and I would say that is the usual rhetorics.
This is not a demonstration of political will? Oh.
Every appointee of the government is not supposed to be in any business of a sort. But people are opening companies and assigning themselves or those companies businesses to do. It's like I'm saying. You don't sit down and just come and say, oh, you cannot do Kalamse, or if you want to do this. We've heard it before. I would abhor anything that is not right. Don't just sit down and talk. If you have one or two people that you know are doing this, just bring them out and punish them. And then the rest will stop. But if you come and tell us, oh, if you want to be in government, don't do this. If you want to be rich, don't be in government. And then you get people being rich in government.
You know, we heard that it was a leadership problem. Then I'll pause in a bit and you come in.
Oh, I mean, go ahead.
That we have a leadership problem, right? Mm-hmm. And that the former president Akufo-Addo was looking on while some people were being named and so on.
Isn't
and
the
so
same
forth.
thing happening?
So let me land on the question. Now we're seeing a new leader who's very assertive that don't do this. If you're in my government and you do this, there will be repercussions. Is that in any way not something different than what we used to?
Under the same president, Nana Akufo-Addo, remember he stated that if you want to be rich, you can't be in government.
I was just about to say that.
If you wanted to be rich, you can't be in government. But appointees were being named that have made money all here and there. And the same thing is happening. If you want to go into Galamsey or be a miner, you can't be in government. And we know people who are sponsoring people to be in mining.
Okay.
We know it happens. So let's stop the rhetorics. That's why I said that if you have a name, or if you've identified one or two people, all you need to do is to punish them. The rest will stop. You don't need to come and tell me that, oh, if you want to be in government, you shouldn't open a company. People have companies running all around, from cleaning to business, big business companies competing with the businessmen out there. Go and ask them, and they'll tell you that was one of the serious problems they had.
In a related matter, the story is on myjoyonline.com, and I want to add it for your reflections. Forestry Commission officer fighting for life after machete attack by illegal miners in Ofin. And it says a member of the Forestry Commission's rapid response team is battling for his life after being attacked by armed illegal miners in the Ofin Shelter Belt Forest Reserve in the Ashanti region. He sustained a deep machete wound to his knee during an ambush by these miners. Looks like the reports of illegal miners attacking authorities and journalists continues.
I was speaking to someone somewhere last week, and he was telling me that now the miners are even using foreigners as their guards. So before you can even enter, you can get some Burkinabe, some other people that you can't even relate with, and they will start attacking you before you even get into the forest.
Did you just say now?
Yeah, that's what I know now.
It's not new.
I didn't know it before. I'm telling you the truth. I didn't know it before. That's why I told you that it was only last week.
Right.
I got to know, and the person was telling me that now this is what is happening. Right. I didn't know that before. There were foreigners who were guards at the forest and trying to prevent the police and other people from entering. What I knew was that before then, some of these security personnel, I wouldn't say the police or the military, but some of the security personnel had their own way of doing their gigs. And it's becoming serious. And from beginning I stated, and I'm stating it again, if you go the partisan way, you will not win this fight. We all have to get involved and stop trying to, blame game things. Once you go that tangent, you've lost the battle.
I don't know about the blame game in this instance because it's a national problem and we have to resolve it.
It's always been
on the national level rather than a partisan level. But if you listen to the president's rhetoric saying that if you want to be in my government, you can't mine, then you stop and go and do whatever. And if it's illegal, then you face the ramifications. You mentioned what Nana Akufo-Addo said, which I said, basically you're taking the wind out of my sail because Akufo-Addo said, if you want to come into government to enrich yourself, not that you are rich. If you are rich, you are rich.
Yeah.
But if you want to come and use the government machinery to enrich yourself, don't. Unfortunately, we saw what we did. This president is now saying this. If he fails to live up to it, he will bear the consequences. But a quick point. They've mentioned that when these excavators are found, the chassis number will be taken, right?
Yeah.
Tax identification, certification will be taken so that you can trace it all through that. So whoever the owner is, it can be traced to that person. The chassis number will also be taken, whoever the owner is, using both approaches. My only issue, 107 people so far, foreigners, have been apprehended and deported. But if you read the Minerals and Mining Amendment Act 2019, there's talk about jailing them before, which your administration was failing to do back then too.
It did.
But the point is,
it sent them to court.
A few of them. Some of them were just taken out of the system. But when the media especially started cracking down on this bit, then some of them were put into custody. That is my problem here. So, Mr. President and your team, if these people are apprehended, dump them in our jails and convicted, put them in jail. When they serve their term, after that, then you deport them. But if you deport them now and they find their way of coming back like Aisha Huang did from Rosewood to other things, then what do? That's my only concern.
And I agree with you. I wouldn't say the previous government did not jail some of them. They did. And
some of them. Some.
Yeah, I don't know the ones. I don't know the ones that it was only Aisha that I knew that she was deported and brought back, and the famous Osafo quotation that they negotiated on it. But apart from that, the rest I know were jailed. And sometimes when you jail someone, you can now go on terms where you do prisoner transport or prisoner exchange. So these are some of the things that happen. But I believe that the first and most important thing is to jail them.
Okay, let's move forward. There are a lot of stories here that I'm sure would pop up in your papers. I want to focus on sports because GFA wants pitch invaders surcharged for FIFA fine. Ghana's Football Association is taking decisive action against the pitch invader who disrupted the Black Stars World Cup qualifier against Chad last Friday. And the GFA Safety and Security Committee has pressed charges of misdemeanor and is pushing for the culprits to be held financially responsible for the fine expected to be imposed on by FIFA. And they're saying there's growing concern that pitch invasion is becoming an all too frequent occurrence and it poses some safety risks to players and in fact everyone there at the stadium. But first of all, congratulations to the Black Stars. I didn't expect it. Like that funny video. I really did not expect it. Do you think that the president meeting the players ahead of the game had anything to boost their confidence? I'm hearing a lot of Abampapa now. By now, the Ghana Black Stars are doing well. The rhetoric and the reactions pouring in. I mean, we Ghanaians is like us to make it partisan. But what do you think?
You see,
and then you can link it to this pitch
when you start this way, and things start going the opposite direction, don't blame anyone. Football is something that we've all realized that it brings the nation together. We've always been fighting with the Black Stars about the way they always disappoint. When the time you expect them most to perform, that is where they disappoint you the most. And so we're all happy. In fact, we're all, like you're saying, we're all glad and shockingly glad that they were able to do a 5-0 thing. We are praying and we are hoping that they will continue that way. If they're able to do that and we win and we go to the World Cup and we perform there, we'll all thank our God and say that well done. And we'll definitely thank the minister in charge to say that, yes, maybe he steered them in the right direction and maybe he did something good. But don't start blowing your horns before. It's only one game. It's only one game. And like you are saying that, oh, you are just in government for less than 3 months. I don't expect you to have done any miraculous thing within the first 3 months to be able to say that, oh, because you are in government, so things have changed.
Really? No credit at all?
Every president goes to meet the Black Stars and tell them something. Even the, opposition leaders do that. So I don't see any great thing. All I'm saying is that they've done well, the Black Stars have done well. I would say that they should, whatever is going on, they should encourage them, but there's nothing serious or there's nothing they've done that is so unique that has made the Black Stars win. I believe the boys worked on their own. And don't forget that the likes of IU and things very soon are going off the pitch. So definitely, once you've brought him in, he wants to make a mark before he leaves.
Right.
I think it's on social media that people haven't heard any person in any authority, whether the GFA or government, try to claim anything on the back of this. But let's also face it, Chad is ranked, 176th? Ghana is 77th in the world. It's a yawning But why people are celebrating? If you look at the likes of Niger, Comoros Islands, Madagascar, and the rest, they have been lowly countries that you would think Ghana would wallow, and sometimes they've ended up beating us. So I think you can't take it away from Ghanaians to celebrate, but there's no real claim of who has done this and who has done that. Let's just hope that things retain this way. By the way, it's been a long time. We've been on a one-goal project all the way from even the last World Cup. It's been losses or one-goal project. So this
happened?
5-0
what did they do
seems
differently?
to be exciting for Ghanaians. I think that is
something happened, right?
I believe
that's what I'm trying to explore. What happened?
They think they've given you too many heartbreaks.
So it was an intentional thing. They can switch it on and off.
Want to change the situation.
Okay, yes.
But to put it on there, I believe that maybe because the squad, most of them will be leaving the scene soon. They want to at least do something before they go.
Well.
I believe so.
Hopefully. Just two headlines and then we get into other newspapers. Government releases 265.22 million for LEAP program. That is the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program. And the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection has projected to disburse 265.22 million for the 94th and 95th payment cycles of its flagship project, Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program. We know that the payment or the grant is paid bi-monthly with varied amounts paid to households, and each household on the program is paid according to the program's eligibility criteria, and including orphans and vulnerable children. So we know that 265 million has been released. Now, last story, Chief Imam urges Muslims to pay taxes. I think it's interesting. Why do they not pay taxes? The National Chief Imam, Sheikh Usman Unuhu Sharbutu, has asked Muslims to pay their taxes to generate funds for the nation's development initiatives. These stories and many, many more in the Daily Graphic. You can pick one for yourself and get into it. But any quick reflections on that? Otherwise, we get into your paper or Ben's.
I think everyone needs to pay taxes. Everybody. I mean, it's even gotten to a stage where people are asking that why is the president himself not paying taxes? Because it's leadership by example. So they expect the president to be doing, not this president, but every president to be paying taxes. So I believe what the Chief Imam is saying is in the right direction.
Okay.
Let's all be honorable and do well to pay our taxes. And also, if the tax system, I always say, if it's very easy to operate, everybody will be willing and gladly pay taxes. But if you have a situation where you yourself cannot calculate your taxes that you need to pay for even a year, then it becomes very difficult to do that. So I've stated that GRA needs to up their game. They need to do a lot of PR. They need to go out and make sure that they explain and teach people. They need to liberalize the system so people can even sit at home and do the easy thing.
Okay.
But even as we talk about taxes, we must also keep in mind that it is important, even as you say everyone should be taxed, forward-looking jurisdictions look at taxing more of the rich. Everybody is taxed, but the rich pay more, and the very poor pay less, so that you can bridge the gap between the very rich or the haves and the very poor, the have-nots, which is progressive taxation. So even as we talk about taxation, we must always bear that in mind.
I don't believe
because in our jurisdiction, if you look at it, oftentimes taxes impact those who have not a lot more than those who have, and it is unfair.
Everybody should be taxed equally. It's like one man, one vote. I mean, why should I go out at 6 a.m., 5 a.m., 4 a.m., work hard, and I'll come and pay more taxes because I decided to work harder than
you? Don't think, in fact, in the kind of economy we run, sort of like the capitalist system that the Americans run, if we decide that let's say you can pay, or your earnings add up to, let's say, 1 billion Ghana cedis per year, and I make 50,000 Ghana cedis per year. You are saying that apart from the fact that you pay a greater quantum, there shouldn't be some mechanism to ensure that since you can afford way more, you should pay a little more for education, for street lighting and all of that. You think it's irrelevant?
That is where you start getting people doing all sorts of things and hiding all sorts of figures.
How so?
Because don't forget that those who are in that category already do a lot of social responsibility projects. They do a lot of social responsibility projects. And once you do social responsibility projects, it's supposed to be taken out from your tax.
But those we've been talking about the tax refund mechanisms and all of that. Those feed into those.
Does it work?
It does work.
It doesn't.
If you file your taxes, no. This is not fair to the GRA. If you file your taxes and go through the processes, they will give you a refund.
How long?
And progressive economies do this. Plus these taxes. I mean, no matter how long it takes, you will get your money.
So why would I take about 6 months to a year just to get a refund?
Do you get the money back? You do.
What I'm saying is that when you make things easy, everybody feels willing to contribute towards it. But when things are tightened in such a way that you yourself you can't even sit there and say that if I work worth maybe 10 million this year as a businessman, I should be able to pay about 2 million or 1 million worth tax and give it to the GRA. So my target is to make sure that this year I'm going to work maybe 10 million or 12 million. And I know how much tax I'm supposed to. And that's how development countries run. But if I cannot calculate my own tax, and I can sit there and you come and I've worked about 10 million Ghana cedis worth, and you come and tell me that we have to pay 4 million, I have to pay 3 million, why would I start declaring to you?
These are interesting.
We need to do things well.
This will be a whole conversation on its own, but I disagree with you, but you're entitled to your opinion, of course.
Your paper?
No, let's do one of your papers before I come in.
One of mine? Well, I saw something interesting here. Let me see. We have no health insurance. We pay for treatments. Ghana National Fire Service. And it's because of the Kumasi Edom fires over the weekend and the reaction of the regional minister and the way he spoke to, to the fire officers over there. I believe that it's high time we look into this very well, especially a fire officer going on duty and hasn't got insurance, they haven't got anything that if anything should happen to him right now, the government is not going to take responsibility of it. You have to go and work and get a refund. I don't think it's fair to them. I don't think it's right. And I think immediately we should look at it and see how best we can work something out. Because these are people who have put, in the first place, they put their lives on the line. So once they are coming or they hear any fire anywhere, the first responsibility is that let me go and make sure that I quench that fire. If the person is not safe himself, then how would he go there and do the right thing? So we should look at it, sit down and really ask ourselves holistically whether we ourselves are doing the right thing. If we are and we think we are doing the right thing, then I leave it to man and God to judge.
On that issue, I know, Sweetie, you've been having some, I don't know, I saw you with Alex Kinate on Friday.
Yeah.
But if you look at the figures when it comes to the fire service, I think they are woefully under-equipped. And that didn't start today, but where does it stop? Where do we do the right thing? On Friday, as we had this incident, if you look at our firefighting trucks, as of last year, 248 appliances were available, 133 of them were faulty, which meant that 53.6% of the firefighting trucks were faulty. And I don't want to give the regional breakdown, but if you look at even the Ashanti region, let me look at the figures for the Ashanti region. As of end 2024, the Ashanti region had, and this is one of the best, they had 25 available trucks. 6 of them were faulty, so 19 were active. If you look at the Greater Accra region, 25 available, 15 faulty. So in the Greater Accra region, 10 available. If you look at some regions, OT, Upper West, Upper East, and the rest, none available. So when these issues come up, I can understand the regional minister. It's his region. He will feel very, but let's face it, our fire service officials are woefully under-resourced. And it's something we have to look at. You can't also expect me that I don't have the right tools I need and you want me to go and risk my life just because. No, I mean, it must be rational. And the cranes, we were talking about the cranes. How many of those? Did you see how long it took before one of them? I hear that's the only crane in the Ashanti region.
Yeah.
Crane.
The fire tender, the tender cranes. You know, there are these ones that you can use to go higher. Yeah. High-rise buildings. So I think we really need to retool them, Sweetie. And
you see, unfortunately, these inadequacies shape our perception of the entire service. We watched that fire, that small, in a very small portion of that top building, grow into such a disaster. And at some point, you saw that citizens were trying to hold the, I don't know what it's called, the hose away, take it away from the fire service personnel because because in our minds, we know, they feel that they are not up to task, you know, so they need to aid the person. There was one woman there, and she looks like she was struggling. And so people had to come in, one pulls from her, the other point. She's like, leave it for me. We're watching all this, you know, play out on national television. If we are, you know, resourcing this fire service at the rate at which you're supposed to do, and they are well equipped, I don't think that civilians or citizens will try to jump in and take the massive fire, them and try and douse a fire when they are the ones who are supposed to be doing that job. In a way, our perception
they've been trained for that. And when there is a fire, there's a way you should stand to even quench it.
Yeah.
Use the distance. So it's not as if maybe the person didn't know what they were doing. But sometimes in a rush to feel that, oh, you have to finish this fire right now, straight away, we want to jump in and help. If
they trusted that the personnel knew what they were doing, could handle the situation without any, do you think they would jump in and this is a fire officer when you are trying to take hose from the person?
In the first place, the police should have quadroned that area, that you can't go.
But you see, that's the problem. It becomes really difficult because people are also, and that's another dangerous thing. I don't know what it is with us, and there's a fire. You remember Apiate? Mm-hmm. There's an explosion, then people are going to siphon fuel and all of that, then there's an explosion. I don't know whether not atomic, but there have been other incidents where you see a disaster, you go closer. And I remember when the atomic one happened, I was on the UG campus. You could feel the explosion from around Pentagon. You know, and people apparently were trying to go closer to the thing when you should be trying to get as far away as possible. Part of the problem the fire service faced, and Ghana for SSA, you have an escalating situation like this. The fire service can't even get through because structures are everywhere. And then you have human beings in there, and then you turn around and blame the fire service.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm saying, that you even block the place. So how do you expect the fire service the tanker to go closer to the place and even spray? And these are things we should be careful about. But one thing that he mentioned, and Kenashigbe has also urged here, jail foreigners who engage in galamsey. The same thing you were saying earlier on. And Kenashigbe happens to be my mate from Augustine, so I just picked it up to bring it out. That we need to make sure that we are jailing foreigners who come over to this country to destroy our lands and our property.
You can't go to their country and do that.
You can't go outside this country and do anything like that anywhere. And it's high time that we preserve and value what we have and rather help our people to progress. There are certain places where even when you want to start a business, the person from that country gets a bigger percentage of the business than even you, the foreigner. And these are things that we should look into and make sure that our people rather get better progression than foreigners who come and exploit us. And when they finish, they move out of this country.
Right. And that's for the Ghanaian publisher, I think. Yeah,
Ghanaian publisher. Would you like to do one more paper? I will go very quickly, so if you want to do...
I love this one. I just have to pick Baumia overhead that she's been in the news quite lately, and I believe that the party is working with her to bring tensions down. Because
are they working with her?
With her, yeah. They are working with her.
Okay.
You see, in every election, when there is a loss, the pain and the agony that you go through, sometimes you feel like, spilling everything and saying everything you have to say, forgetting that sometimes you are under oath and you are not supposed to, especially being a former cabinet minister. I think some of the things are there that she went beyond board. But however, the party has sat down with her, they are talking, they are making sure that things, it's not only her, but other people are there too who are being talked to. Everybody I would employ the party members that let's all cool heads down. Let us work together, because it's a matter of coming together to work. I mean, once you've lost an election, that's not the first time we are losing an election. And even before President Kufuor came, look at the number of challenges we had in the first elections. So I would say that let's cool heads down, let's work together. We have a strong opposition to give. We have an alternative to show Ghanaians that we are. Yes, we might have made mistakes, but I believe that, I said one thing I always say, that you can't blame Nanado for everything. He did a lot of good works. When you look at structures and infrastructure that has gone on, even those fire systems that you are talking about, when you look at the tenants and things that he brought in, there are a lot. But at the end of the day, yes, we failed in one or two places like governance and other things that maybe we didn't listen too much because we felt that sometimes you have to push hard to get things done. And these are some of the challenges we have. So she should put everything down and others should do the same. And let's work together.
It's interesting. I know you're moving on. Pix Baumia over her kid's dad. I'm sure they are referring to the
Kennedy
former
Ejapong.
Asin Central legislator,
Yes.
Kennedy Ejapong. Well, that's her decision to make, of
That's
course.
her
But,
decision.
but with everything she said about the school feeding program and the party's internal structures and how she was victimized, listening to her, you can feel her pain. When she spoke on Asempa, when she spoke to Blessed Sogan here, you could feel her pain, and she was asking questions.
Everybody has a story.
Just hold for me. You say under oath. She's not under oath.
No, when you go to cabinet,
She is not bound.
the
The Constitution of Ghana allows for freedom of speech. We've heard instances where, and I don't want to mention names, where supposedly, was it Friday, she was supposed to go for an interview, or Thursday, and cars blocked the entrance.
That is what they said, but I don't believe it.
I have spoken to a few people who seem to suggest that it did happen. But all of these would be unfortunate. I think there should be ways of, yes, as a party, this will not do you good. Find ways of speaking to her, negotiating with her as the Council of Elders, but going to block her house is not in the right.
There have been a lot of meetings.
The point, though, even in the US, they have whistleblowers.
Yeah.
You get it. Within parties, outside of parties. Didn't you see Trump is victimizing some people now who, I think Liz Cheney and others, who taking away their security clearance and all of that. Yeah, there may be consequences, but she has every right to speak, though I feel there could be better ways of doing it.
So when you go to cabinet and when you go even as a minister, you take the cabinet oath and the ministerial oath. It's not everything that you can come out to say unless you are under
What exactly
a court,
did she say that falls in that category?
Under a court of jurisdiction. You know that there are so many challenges when it comes. You don't know where to stop sometimes when you go on emotional rampage. And that is why I said all of us, we have a story to say. Me sitting here is not everything I was happy with. But that doesn't mean that I should come here and pour my heart out. This is not the right forum.
The thing she's talking about, school feeding,
go
school
on.
feeding and the rest, these are things that, if taken seriously, would help revamp the system to make it better. You are saying she should have just held on to the information or given it to the MPP. What would the MPP do with that information?
Is it coming on airways that would solve the problem?
What would the MPP have done?
No, I'm asking a simple question. Is it coming on airways that will solve the problem?
And I'm asking you, what would the MPP as a party have done with that information?
Report to the right quarters. There's an OSP there. That's why the OSP was employed. So if you think you have a problem, or you think maybe going on air, you see, I don't want to go into details, but as a minister, if you have challenges, you go on air and rather dance. Is that the right thing to do? Let's not go that tangent. We've sorted it out to this point.
Right.
So when you have a challenge, report to the right quarters. The mere fact that there's a new government doesn't mean that you can't go and tell the OSP or you can't tell the CID that, listen, these were the challenges I saw. Maybe under my government, they couldn't do anything about it. But I think you should open...
Mr. Thompson, did you hear her say her life was in danger? Did you hear her say that?
I seriously did not listen to every aspect of the interview.
I listened to the entire interview with
I didn't, because she was here and there and everywhere, so I didn't listen.
Great. So you're saying that you said you called it an emotional something. Emotional outburst.
Yeah.
And you're saying that she should have reported to the party.
Yes.
Now in this
not only
case,
the party.
Well, two things. The right score. Two things. One, I want to know what exactly you picked from everything she said here and there that was outside the boundaries of what she can and cannot say on air. And then how else should she have dealt with it when the party, her own party, sort of discriminated against her, and she says that the threats that were made on her life was coming from people within the party. So where should she have gone to?
You see,
how does that qualify as an emotional
I would be
outburst?
glad if I wouldn't have opened the inside party things. But I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Where you say that you've done an audit and given it to the president, and the president put it somewhere. Then they ask you that, I heard somewhere that they were asking her about that report and what the president, and said, no, Nanado hasn't done anything.
They were asking her now, who sent you? Who sent you?
Who sent you? On towards and everything, you see. So there's a conflicting information there. When you do that, people also start questioning you yourself. And that is why I said sometimes we shouldn't rush in thinking that, oh, it's when I come out and say things, then I'm free.
Okay. Let's move on to this.
Anyway, I will just say this, Sweetie and Alfred. We all remember Professor Frimpong Boateng. What happened to his report? That's
that people came out that his son was involved in all the things that were going on.
Well,
what happened to it?
Well, my only question is what happened to
that is why I'm saying that.
Since you are saying
that is why I'm saying that some of these things don't rush and go out and talk. Because if you're not careful, you implicate yourself.
I think as individuals, we deal with things differently. What may break me would probably just be a little thing you would brush aside. We really cannot judge this woman who says her life was under threat for the channel she chooses to vent her spleen. I don't think we can judge her for that.
When you get
especially because she categorically said that she was not speaking on she wasn't talking about the party as a whole. She was talking about individuals and things that she herself experienced. You know, I just think that in as much as I agree with what Ben said and what you're saying, that there could be, it could have been handled better. I don't think we should judge her for expressing herself.
In multimedia.
And exposing some rots.
In multimedia. Don't you have challenges with even some individuals you are working with?
Of course.
You come out on air to state it.
Right.
The Ghanaian Times newspaper now. Western Regional Chiefs declare support for Dr. Obin to drive Petroleum Hub project. Government releases 265.2 million Ghana cedis for LEAP beneficiaries. March 31, April 1st declared statutory public holidays because, of course, one of the days falls on a Sunday. Tree for Life initiative, 7 million seedlings to be planted nationwide. That's in the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Deal for printing industry, a story I'll do briefly. 564.6 million to remain in economy as textbooks will be printed locally. That's according to the president. On the back page, Black Stars plot Madagascar 4. Asare deserves his place in post. Otoado says so, talking about Hearts of Oak goalkeeper Benjamin Asare, who was handed a starting role in Friday's qualifier against Chad. So let me quickly get to this story, the one about printing. That is on page 12. Here we are. So President John Dramani Mahama has announced a mega deal for the local printing industry as government is set to print all textbooks for basic schools across the country locally. This, he said, would keep the 564.6 million Ghana cedis earmarked for the printing of the textbooks in the Ghanaian economy. Addressing the chiefs and people of Tamale on his thank you visit to the northern region on Saturday, President Mahama said the no textbook phenomenon had become a thing of the past. That's what he said there. Journalists schooled on proliferation of illicit small arms and the West Africa Action Network on Small Arms, Ghana, in collaboration with the United Nations Development Programme, have organized a media empowerment workshop in Kumasi to address the proliferation of illicit small arms in Ghana. We were just reading a story about something similar in the northern region. Now, the custodian, law professor, questions Addison's house raid and then hidden dangers of frequent eating after 40. That is the age of 40. So more questions are being raised about the propriety of the Ninja and Rambo style raid of the residence of the former governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, though government officials have officially sanctioned the invasion as lawful. Of course, we heard Dr. Sremsai, Justice Sremsai, speak to it about the warrant. A senior law lecturer at the University of Ghana, Professor Kwejo Epieje-Etua, has challenged the legality of the search conducted on the former governor's residence. He argued that the manner in which the search was carried out raised critical legal and ethical questions that must be addressed to ensure accountability and transparency in law enforcement procedures. Let me just do the final story on page 8, and I'll pause there for your reactions. Okay, so page 8 doesn't have the story that's supposed to be on page 8. Let me just find it because it's something that I really want to. So it's actually on page 5. The hidden dangers of frequent eating after 40. Are you among the millions of adults over 40 who frequently eat? Perhaps you grab a snack every hour or eat multiple small meals throughout the day. This habit can have serious health consequences, including weight gain, insulin resistance, cardiovascular disease, and cognitive decline. I would prefer that you get a copy of the Custodian newspaper and get into these stories. But coming to you, Alfred, this sum of money, 564.6 million to remain in the economy by printing textbooks locally, the Dr. Addison house raid, we've heard people from different angles. Some say it was right, others say, but it could have been done better. What's your take?
I'll take the first one first. The printing of textbooks instead of the use of the tablets that we're moving into. You know, the world is evolving, and once we are moving forward, coming back becomes a serious problem. You don't just come back because, oh, I just want to come back for coming back sick. Children are now, in fact, yesterday there was a lady who came to visit me with a 1 year, 4 months old child. And when you look at the way the kid was playing on the, iPad or the tablet, I was shocked. I said, kids are now moving into that age. You are training them to become world leaders, not only Ghanaian leaders, but world leaders. They are going into the world to sit down with other kids and learn together. And seriously, when you go out there, you realize that Ghanaians do well because of the way we are trained and everything. But why now say that, oh, now I'm cancelling all these laptops and tablets that were being given to the children for them to learn how to even navigate and know that, okay, this is the subject I'm going to do today. These are the topics I can even read ahead and everything, because everything is on the tablet. When you look at the tablet they started, the pilot and everything, you realize that everything is there. So it becomes easier for teacher-student interaction.
Quick question, do you know to what level this tablet distribution had got to? How many had tablets, at what level, and all of that, to talk about rolling it out?
It started getting to the latter part of the Akufo-Addo government. I mean, it's not every school that got it. I was with the vice president in one of the Kumasi schools, one of the big schools there. And when we went to see the children doing it, it was marvelous. They were happy about using the tablets and everything, which was quite good. So I believe that everything, you see, every step you take, there'll be challenges. How do I navigate to make sure that I come out of the challenges successfully, but not coming back to do the old system ways? Otherwise, we should go back to the...
Okay, so there's the issue of how many had these tablets in the first place and procurement, but there's also the issue of the tablets weren't going to phase out automatically the use of textbooks. You're fully aware of that. It was not.
It was.
Go and look at...
It was a gradual thing going to phase it out.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying, that it wasn't all of a sudden going to phase it out. There was going to be a printing component anyway. If we localize it, that is fine. It remains to be seen whether that will be done, because I think even under the erstwhile administration, there were some promises in that regard. But even as we talk of that, I also want to encourage parents especially. I teach children from time to time. If you read the science of it, there are cognitive consequences for exposing children too early to all of these tablets and phones. You can check them out. So I think there should be a balance. Yes, letting them at a certain age get to know about these things. But if you read the science of it, I see too many people come for Sunday school and a child will be bawling. All they want is a tablet or a phone. It has cognitive consequences where later in life, even studying becomes a problem. So let's be careful how we approach this whole bit about, oh, it's digital, so they are catching up with the rest of the world. Even in the US and the UK, they are struggling with those problems. So let's be careful what we copy. Would you like to say something about...
Otherwise, we wouldn't look at anything. City didn't have a take on this one.
No, it's okay. I just prompted me that we have to go.
I was wondering whether you would say anything on
Addison's raid. It was actually one of the things I needed to...
Colonel Festus Amaji says he had a backdoor. He was monitoring the central bank from his house.
I mean, where is this done?
Oh.
It can't happen, please.
It can't.
Let's be serious.
Oh, okay.
Let's be serious. I've been... yes, you might have your... What do you call it? Your... tablet or your systems where you can sit down and check certain things in there, or even work from the house. But to have the whole, do you know how many different sites they have?
In fact, the Inquisitor captures that story. Addison, the spy, unmasked.
Do you know how many sites Bank of Ghana has in this country? And then he hasn't got anywhere to do. You just be sitting down and monitoring people and the meetings they are doing. Let's be serious as a country. Let's be serious. What is wrong is wrong. If you think, as a national security operative, you think that I have gadgets in my house spying, you should be able to even show pictures by now.
And that is Mr. Alfred Thompson, the former Deputy Managing Director of NIB. Thank you for joining us. And that's it for the news review segment on the AM show. Coming up next, Muftar Nabil Abdullahi will tell us why the Black Stars surprised us on Friday. Then,
well, let's get into sports with Muftar Nabil Abdullahi. After that, We'll bring more conversations, including that one on the Ghana Black Stars. We'll be right back.
Well, thanks for staying with us. This is still the AM show, sponsored by Waylead Properties, and we'll get into our big stories in a bit. But before we get there, are you thinking of a rewarding investment you can engage in? Waylead Company Limited is your preferred choice for such investment. Waylead Company Limited is a real estate company with several developments to its credit here in Accra. You want to invest in our development Willow Lane, where elegance will meet tranquility in the heart of Accra. And we provide quality housing at an affordable cost and also with a flexible payment option. At Waylead Properties, we provide you 24-hour security, reliable power supply, and other social amenities to make your stay a memorable one. Give us a call now on 0240 111 119 or 0504 499 999. You can also visit www.waylead.org for more information.
Well, it's today. What is today? I'm talking about the Ghana Chamber of Shipping presenting the Alhaj Asuma Banda Memorial Forum under the theme Banda's Legacy and Impact on the Shipping Industry. Panelists include Dr. Kofi Mbia, Dr. Chimanda Vasnani, Mohammed Samara, Captain Aaron Turkson, Jamilat Mahama, Stanley Raja Holu, Michael Luguje, and other players in the shipping industry in Ghana. It's slated for this morning from 10 a.m. to noon. And it's a live broadcast on JoyNews. You would want to stick and stay for that. But for now, we're having a conversation on water activities around water production sites and how there is cost and production impact. Our Upper West Regional Manager of the Ghana Water Limited, Michael Kwesi Klucha, says sand winning around the Black Volta is affecting the quality and cost of water production. Meanwhile, in the central region, the Ghana Water Company Limited says the refusal of consumers to pay their bills is affecting smooth operations. Well, for now, we have a conversation coming up. But before that, let's take a look at some of these issues and what exactly has been happening.
Ghana Water Limited is raising concerns over increasing human activities threatening the Densu River, which supplies water to the Wager Dam. Activities like sand winning and poor farming practices are polluting the river and putting water supply at risk.
We hear of illegal mining, galamsey, almost daily in Ghana, and so one is tempted to think that that is about the only challenge plaguing our water bodies. We would like to highlight that apart from galamsey, there are other human activities equally harmful to our freshwater bodies. The Densu River, which houses the Wager Dam to enable us to abstract water for treatment, is one of the rivers in Ghana that suffers this serious pollution from other human activities aside galamsey.
He also warned that Ghana loses 51% of treated water due to leaks, burst pipes, and illegal connections, worsening supply challenges.
We are losing water through leakages, pipe bursts, and also through illegal use of the water. And so around 51% nationwide. That's when you aggregate all the production centers and the amount of water they produce and what we distribute to the general public and collect revenue for. Then it means that we collect revenue for 41% of the water that we produce. If all these things, galamsey and the wrong practices, wrong use of water or activities around the water bodies are kept, then we can conserve our water for future use. Other than that, we reach a point in time we will not have enough water to treat.
As part of World Water Day, the Ghana Water Limited took students on a tour of the Wager Dam to educate them on water treatment and conservation. For JoyNews, Collins Frimpon's report read to you.
Sand winning is an enemy to our production system. Here we don't have other activities like gold mining taking place by the water bodies. But the sand winning is another form of a gold mining that we are looking at, and it's really affecting us. So we wish that the people stay away from the water bodies when they go for sand winning. And also remember that the more cleaner the water is, the more cheaper it is to produce, and then the more cheaper it is to be sold to the people. So if you are winning sand and the turbidity is high and we have to spend more chemicals, which are always imported anyway to this country to produce, then it means that the cost of production is going to go high. And if it does go high, we will have no choice but to pass it on to the customers.
Supply situation used to be very bad somewhere between January and February. But as we speak, it is now better. We had challenges in Esacho and its supply area. We had challenges with Befikrom and its supply area. But now, as we speak, we are now getting enough inflows into our reservoirs. So we are now producing, though in limited quantities, but at least everybody within the affected area is now benefiting. So I think it's quite better now. A month ago, we had issue with drought, severe drought and its effect on our water bodies in the region. And so Esacho dried up, the source dried up, Befikrom also dried up, Bremene Sikuma also dried up. But as we speak, we don't have much issues. Now we are receiving more rains in eastern region. Most of these sources are coming from eastern region. So the issue of indebtedness, the outstanding bills in respect of private connections or private customers is almost close to 70 million Ghana cedis. And we need this amount of money to buy chemicals, to pay electricity, to pay our staff. And if these monies are not being paid, then our operations will come to a halt at some point in time. So I want to plead with our customers to make full payment so that we can also serve them better. With respect to, which question again, the other one? Tape.
Well, that's the situation on the ground. And joining us for a conversation now, we have Stanley Mate. He is Director of Public Relations and Communications at the Ghana Water Company Limited. He joins the conversation. Mr. Mate, a very good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning. And thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure having you, sweetie.
Yes, Mr. Mate, we've had varied reports of what's really causing the water production issues. Some say sand winning, illegal mining activities, indebtedness. But we want to start from, what is the state of water production in Ghana as we speak?
Hello, please, your question wasn't clear.
Right. I'm asking, as we speak, what is the status of water production in Ghana from the Ghana Water Limited? What is the status? What are the issues, or how are we faring in terms of water production in the country right now?
Okay, thank you very much. Water production now in Ghana is such that we are unable to meet the demand of the population. So if you put everything together throughout the country, there's a deficit between demand and supply. And that is why we see that in most of the urban areas, we are both put in place water demand management program, what we call the RAN, so that at least we can share the water equitably for everyone to have access to some water. So throughout the country, average individual gets about between 4 and 5 days of water. And we are doing our best to ensure that situation on the impact not seriously felt. We also have long-term programs to ensure that we bridge that gap, the gap between the demand and supply. To have access to water. And the gap vision or target.
Mr. Mate, if you're moving around, could you please pause at one place? We're getting some interference in your connection so that we can hear you.
Oh, okay, I think I'm not in Accra, so the reception is not too good.
Right.
But so let's manage it.
Okay, and you mentioned that you're unable to meet the demand as we speak. What percentage are you producing as we speak?
Throughout the country, I have to get a figure right, but there's a deficit of more than 150 million gallons of water. But we keep adding on, and then we keep having challenges. So as I speak, I may not have the exact figures, but in the next 15 minutes or so, I can get you the figure.
Okay, so a deficit of 115 million gallons of water. That's an average.
Approximately.
Right. Okay, so now we understand that we are unable to meet the demand. We know we've had a number of issues that's contributing to this deficit, but you are the Director of Public Relations. Tell us, what's really causing all this?
Yeah, please, I didn't get the question very well, please.
What's accounting for the deficits we are seeing?
Okay, one, we have infrastructural challenges. Most of our treatment plants are quite aged or quite old, and they were built for a certain population. Now the population has increased. So the other challenge is increase in population. So we have infrastructural challenges, and then we have increase in population, and then we have urbanization. And then we also have the challenge of the building and then the position of
you have the problem of what? What was the fourth point? I believe your third point was urbanization.
The dwindling levels of our water bodies.
Right.
Right now, most of the trees that we planted to keep shade to the rivers have all been cut off. We have farmers who are clearing the land for farming activity. And as a result, the rate of evaporation now is very high. Apart from the high evaporation rate, the rain, anytime there are rains or there are strong winds, they wash off the topsoil and then into the rivers, and then they silt them. So siltation is also causing lower levels of our river body. Yeah. So these are the main challenges. If you want me to take them one by one, I'll explain them in detail.
Well, I mean, if it's not going to be too long, I'd like you to address them. There are at least 4 or 5 challenges you've mentioned, from infrastructure issues. Just delve into them one by one.
I think I explained infrastructure a bit.
Right.
Because most of our treatment plants are quite old. The pumps are quite old, and now they're not getting the best out of these pumps. As a company, we are trying to use our internally generated funds to change some of the pumps.
Right.
So that at least we can improve on the volumes of water that we produce for the people. Now, we all know that there's increase in population. In that, the treatment plant that I just mentioned were built for a certain population and to take care of us over a certain period.
Right.
Now, we've gone past that period, and then we still have the same capacity from the treatment plant. Meanwhile, population is going high. So the water is not enough for the population. That is why we have a gap between demand and supply.
Right.
Now, we all also are aware of the pollution of our river body. And the pollution is not only by alluvial mining or what we call the galamsey, but it's also as a result of the discharge of industrial effluent into our river body. And then the way we dump our waste, even from our homes. Now, every drainage ends up in a river body or in the sea. So if, for instance, we assume that, I can just pour my garbage from my home into the drains in front of my house, anytime there are rains, it will wash them into a certain river or it will wash them into the sea. And then they pollute these river bodies. I've also talked about the fact that when there are strong winds and then...
Hello, Mr. Mate.
It
appears we've lost Mr. Mate there, but he was explaining some of the bits he had just mentioned there. He had categorized them from infrastructure issues to, talking about the population growth. I was going to ask him at a point, because I know some of these items they use or equipment have been there for decades. So how long has it been? What population was it meant to serve versus what? You can't expect that what was meant to serve maybe 10, 15, 20 million people is serving that. Mr. Martin, please go ahead. Hello,
yeah,
Mr. Martin.
Yeah.
It appears we're still struggling with the connection to Stanley Martin.
Hello?
Mr. Martin, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Please go ahead. You were making a point.
I'm sorry for that for what we are experiencing now, because I'm out of Accra.
Right.
And anytime I'm in Accra, I think we can also have a program, and I do want to be in the studio to respond to some of these questions. But I think we can make use of the little time that we have.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so I was talking about urbanization and then the cultivation of the buffer zones of our river body. Now, most of the trees that are supposed to give our river bodies cover have all been cut off by our farmers for farming activity. So now when it so happens, then we expose our river bodies to the weather. So the slightest increase in temperature, then the water in the river body is evaporated. And when there's evaporation, sometimes we lose a lot of the water. We may not appreciate it the way I'm saying, but that is not happening. We lose a lot of the water. And so during the dry season, or in certain times of the year, we are unable to extract enough for treatment. So I've mentioned pollution, I've mentioned urbanization, I've mentioned
the dwindling level of water bodies.
Exactly.
Right.
So these are the main challenges. Okay, and we are doing everything possible. We have short-term, we have medium-term, and we have long-term solutions. Now with our short-term solutions, we are trying to distribute the little water in the system equitably so that everybody can have access to some water. Medium term, we are trying to change some of our pumps, some of our equipment, rehabilitate some of our treatment plants with our own internally generated funds. And these are ongoing. With long-term solutions, government is trying to put up new infrastructure and then to augment what we have now. So there's expansion programs, there's a new project also coming up. We hope that we'll be able to meet the 2030 deadline for the government vision and that of the SDG goals. Thank you.
Just a quick point. I know Adam Mutawakilo, I believe, has taken over the Ghana Water Company Limited. What moves have been brought to bear in this regard?
No, Honorable Adam Wakilu also comes on board with a lot of with some rich experience from the oil and gas and energy sector. And currently, we are doing a lot of engagement with our stakeholders. And then, so far, it's been very good. He's been moving around, checking everything. He's been moving around, and we're checking everything. We're engaging the public. We're engaging all stakeholders and staff and everything. And we hope that we believe that things will go well. And so let's all rest assured. He has a strong team. And we are all ready to support him and to ensure that things go well and better.
Mr. Martin, I'm sure all of you are going to support him. Like you've been there for a long time. But what I'm asking is, what are the concrete steps that will be taken to ensure that these challenges can be resolved? For example, when you talk about antiquated equipment, some of which has been there for decades, maybe it was meant to serve a particular population. Now the population has grown exponentially. How are you going to deal with that?
So that is the long-term solution that I mentioned from government. And because he's been a member of parliament before, and then he has very close relations with government, we believe that he's going to use his influence to enable us to get whatever we expect, or to enable us manage all the programs that we have to ensure that we have water for people. And so position is also strategic, and I hope that things will go well. We've actually started working seriously, and things will go very well. Thank you very much.
Okay, just a quick one before you leave.
Can we where I am now, I have to enter into.
I know. Just a quick point.
Let me take it when I come back to Accra.
Mr. Bati.
So that
Okay.
I can have the thing to. I can be in the right frame of mind and everything to respond to the question.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Marty. Thank you.
I also appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. That is Stanley Marty, Director of Public Relations and Communications at the Ghana Water Company Limited. What I wanted to sneak by him, sweetie, was that, sometimes they talk about all these challenges in somewhat abstract terms. I was going to pin him on how much the Ghana Water Company Limited thinks it needs, for example, to rehabilitate this equipment, and start the advocacy from here before even Adam Mutawakilu, gets on it. Because sometimes the people at the helm, but when the media starts going, then some action is, unfortunately. But we'll get him into the studio at some point.
I mean, on a very related matter, I wanted to know how much more money it's costing them to produce water now with that 115 million gallons of water deficit. So it means that it's costing them some more money to produce water, which is already at 70% deficit. But let's speak to Dr. Anthony Chumesi. He's a hydrologist, and he joins us via phone. Doc, thank you so much for joining us. Good morning.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. We're talking about water production issues, and we've just been told that currently the Ghana Water Limited is seeing a deficit of 115 million gallons of water deficit, rather. Have you been following the conversation, and what's your initial reaction to what we are seeing? He also enumerated on the challenges that's contributing to this deficit. But let's start with your initial reactions to these.
Thank you very much. As you indicated, my name is Dr. Anthony Chumesi, hydrologist and also environmental engineer. The issues have been putting students even to do some research on Ghana Water Limited, especially on their production and other things. And I'm aware that they have a serious deficit because of the challenges that confront them. Apart from the ones that deal with the economy, I think most of them have also been environmental in nature. Because if you go to the two production dams, the Awabi and the Barricades in Komati, for example.
Mr. Chumesi, we are losing bits of what you're saying. Let's take it again.
What I'm saying is that, yes, as I introduced myself, my name is Dr. Anthony Chumesi, and hydrologist and environmental engineer. Yes, you're talking about production of water for Ghana Water Limited. And I'm saying that I have been putting students even there to look at the challenges that they face. I've done a few research on areas water production, and I think they have a huge challenge. I think you can discuss them as you go along.
Ben.
Well, what are some of those challenges that you see? At least we interacted with Stanley Marty a short while ago, who speaks for the Ghana Water Company Limited. He enumerated a number of challenges, including using antiquated or old systems of production or infrastructure, dwindling water bodies. He speaks about the surge in population, among others. When you look at these, what should we have done before now, and what can we do now to remedy the situation, looking at the deficit in production and demand?
As I can speak to you, especially, I live in Kumasi now, and I've been working with the two dams, Barikati Dam and Awabi Dam. I've followed the issues around those two dams. What we see is that there's a huge encroachment coming from the community. Those areas which were initially the catchment areas of all these dams have been encroached. All because the Ghana Water Company had not seen it as something that they can use education to surmount those challenges. They think that they have to just use a system where maybe they will confront this and other things. I see that a huge challenge. Apart from that also goes to say that the moment we are approaching those dams, it means that we are going to have drinking water because all the tributaries to the dams are getting dry up. So in a sense, they will not have a lot to produce. Apart from that, if there are some sand winning around those areas, some of them are also contributing to the huge deficit because they need a lot of money to produce the water because it has been polluted in a certain way. But if they were going to use a certain amount of chemicals to produce, now they need maybe 2 times or 4 times that amount. So all these are making the challenges become a lot more. And I also see it as also that currently, I think what we should do now, because I started something that I was going to do with USAID. What I was going to do was that we were going to look at those challenges that they confront the water company, especially with the community. We are going to mount a huge amount of education, talk to the communities so that they will not go and farm around the area. You find alternative livelihoods for them so that they will not go and pollute the water bodies. But unfortunately, things have not been done properly now. So what I say is that if we want to do something now, I think the government, or for that matter, Ghana Water Company, must embark on serious educational drive for the community so that, because that is the thing that they can do now. Because as for the cost of production, because the dams are being polluted, definitely we need a huge amount to make the production, and that's why it's dwindling. Apart from that, they also have to check their whole system. You see, because when I have an MSc student who did some work for me, and he said that if you look at the revenue water, it's also becoming too high. So it means that in their own system, you need to amend the way they do things in the
Dr. Ayumesi, we have reports from the Upper West Regional Manager of Ghana Water Limited, Michael Kwesi Kluche, and he says activities of sand winners or sand winning around the Black Volta is affecting the quality of water production and the cost, like you're just saying. How crucial is it, and should we be escalating this matter, making it a national issue? How crucial is it to the production of our water, and what are the immediate steps we can take to ensure that our water is not affected by the activities of sand winning?
That's what I'm saying, that we need to escalate it, because in the past it has been as if water company alone is having a challenge. But the challenge is for the whole of the country. If sand winners are interested in making their own money, just like the illegal mine, it's the same thing. There's nothing wrong from sand winning along the water bodies and illegal mine. It's the same thing. They're all winning. They want to make their money. So we need to escalate it. I don't think that there's something that is from Ghana Water Limited alone. I think that we need to escalate it. And government and all CSOs must also be part of it, so that we drive issues to the national level, so that we all are able to help the Water Limited to be able to respond to the challenge. Otherwise, you see it as a whole challenge. It means that when you wake up and there's no water for us to drink, and that will be a challenge for the whole country. So, especially the media must promote this kind of engagement, so that government will address them as they come. Because you see, what happens in this country is that we leave it to go on, and then at a certain point when it goes to address, then it becomes difficult to address. Because if you leave them, they will definitely not just stop the sand winning. So we need to do it in a manner that, as they start to confront them. So
all right. Well, we will open the phone lines in a bit for you to have your say wherever you are listening to us in a bit. Let us know what the water situation is for you. But Doc, hold for Ben.
So, I mean, in the shortest possible terms, what should we be doing now? What essentially can government do in the short term to turn things around?
Well, I think that just like the government is confronting this illegal mining or whatever, the same way that the government is trying as much as possible to address those challenges, I think they must put the same weight on these issues. You see, we can even do the
It appears we've lost Dr. Chumesi on there. We'll try to get him back if possible. If not, I believe we can hang the conversation there. But quite a lot needed to be done by government and by all of us, actually. People encroaching on, the resources, the land of the Ghana Water Company Limited. Obviously, there's some misunderstanding there. Dr. Chumesi, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, please go ahead. Speak up for me, but please go ahead.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that some of the issues that confront the Ghana Water Limited should be seen as a national issue. And immediately what you all must do is that you must address them as we all want it to be addressed. First and foremost, the communities which surround these water bodies should do initial education, maybe for the point of the municipal assemblies or something. They should all be part of the engagement. Two, the Ghana Water Limited must also be seen as addressing the challenges in their own system. What I'm saying is that when you see water being cashed out in communities and nobody is trying to address it, it means that you have more and you are just trying to throw them out. It is not. So they also look internally and solve that challenge. The third is that, you see, in fact, in Ghana now, what I can say is that there are limited number of hydrologists, people who understand water and what to do about them. And even you see that because currently, because of illegal mining, between those who are within the regions, in a sense, not aware because they can't go to the river to do the normal monitoring. So what you should is that government speed up the case, encourage people who are supposed to work because what is like if you're a hydrologist, right, living in those, you take daily measurements of the water bodies to know where it's going, the level, that even the amount of which is in the system. I think no one is doing that because if you should continue to see it as not a then the problems may also be there. So it should be something like a national issue. It should not be seen as for Ghana Water Limited. And CSOs must also be seen to promote this particular idea of encouraging people because the water is not something that will be there forever. It's limited. If
right.
The mind is going to give us a problem. So that's what I was saying.
Dr. Anthony Chumesi is a hydrologist. Thank you, sir, for joining the conversation, helping us put this issue in perspective. And that's how we wrap up on this belt of conversation. Thank you, Doc. But before we go, you know that every year thousands of Ghana's brightest minds seek better prospects abroad, leaving a gap in our workforce. Now, how can Ghana inspire its talents to stay? Join David Ofosu-Dorte, Professor Mary Setranam, and Her Excellency Dr. Amina Gurib Fakim, former president of Mauritius, at the 12th edition of the Ishmael Yamson and Associates Business Roundtable to discuss managing the talent exodus, leveraging private-public partnerships for growth. It's happening on the 7th of May, 2025 at Labadi Hotel, starts at 9 a.m. sharp. And if you want to register to attend, text your name and organization to 0530-117-202 or send an email to info@ieyamson.com. Ben will tell you about Syntex Tank.
Well, Ghana, let me tell you about water tanks. Do you know the secret to real water storage? Have you thought about it? It's simple. If your tank doesn't have the tortoise on it, then it's not the correct tank. That's right. The tortoise tank, Syntex Tank, is the champion of water tanks. It is strong, it is durable, and built to handle our Ghanaian weather. So know that rain or shine, Syntex Tank has your back. So my people, go outside, check your tank. And if it doesn't have a tortoise on it, it's time to upgrade. What do you say? Join the Syntex Tank family today and enjoy water storage that's tough like a tortoise. Just pick up your phone, call this number, 0244 335 168 to buy now, or find one of our 400 agents nationwide. You can also shop online at syntexgh.com. Syntex Tank, a strong, a tough. Up next, we'll be exploring. We've spoken about our water challenges. Yes, and so no, sometimes it's quite an issue. So as we've spoken about water, how about fire? a la the fire that, consumed Edum in Kumasi, that's the Ketia area, just a few days ago. There are many issues to contemplate there. When we return from the break, we will take a stab at that. But also know, after that conversation, we'd love to hear from you what your thoughts are. So keep it in mind, and when we activate the phone lines, be one of those to call. But for now, we take a breather. We'll be right back.
It's rather unfortunate scene to see here at Blue Light Arena in Edum, where after over 24 hours of devastating fire, you can visibly see smoke and fire coming from some of the remaining containers and shops. This is an indication that the fire has not been completely extinguished, and in a recovery effort, you can see that an excavator has made its way into the arena where shops and containers have been reduced to scraps and debris. What the excavator is doing currently is to break into some of the remaining shops perceived to have had less impact from the fire, to make way for the fire service personnel to be able to throw in water and quench the fire completely. The congestion of the area facilitated the spread of the fire to other areas, even a day after the fire started. Regional Fire Commander Assistant Chief Officer 2, Peter Tete, is admonishing city authorities to create access to public areas and for traders to adhere to safety tips.
I message the public to listen to us. Our tidbits, safety tidbits, they should listen, adhere to them, do them. The city authorities must make sure they create access. There should be accessibility so that when it happens, we can get access to deal with it. Yes, that is my message. Yes.
In efforts to mitigate fire incidents, authorities have outlined plans to restructure the setup of markets in Kumasi, allowing for accessible roads. Ajaman Bwedi, also known as Kenzuba, representing the Ashanti Regional Minister, disclosed this intervention in response to accessibility issues faced by the fire service.
So it is the instruction of the Regional Minister that we must engage them so that between now and Monday, they will find somewhere. It is not all of them that are going to be affected, but we'll create a channel, a path, where vehicles can move through to assist whoever will be affected or need any emergency service. So the NADMO team has gone there. We are going to engage all of them, and Monday we'll send equipment to the place to go and create a path. They are all located at unauthorized places. We don't have a place for them as at now to go. What took place here, if we had had such a path, we would not have had this level of destruction.
Meanwhile, victims of the fire are seen trying to salvage remains of their burnt items, with anxious traders who fear the fire might reach their shops, moving their items to safety. So far, over 5,000 traders and shop owners have been affected. Addressing the media, Na Momolate said there are plans to come to the aid of the traders. She urged those who are taking advantage of stealing others' properties to desist from the practice, and also cautioned against fueling propaganda on the incident. According to her, the structural integrity of the affected buildings will need to be addressed.
I'm only pleading and appealing to everybody not to allow some few people who have some agenda to push, to bring in propaganda and rumors that will derail all the efforts that the regional minister and the team have put in place for the past 3 days. They should focus and keep their eyes on the ball, and let us get this thing resolved. As we speak, today is the third day, and there's still fire in some of the buildings. So this is not the time to be looking at who gets what and all that. You have a regional minister who has good intentions and definitely will look out for the best interests of everybody. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has promised, and he's not going to relent on his promise. So far, you've seen that whatever he said, he's been able to fulfill it. And so I want everybody to relax, and let's join hands and hearts and minds together and make sure that we support the leadership to make sure this place is put in order, the best of shapes, to avoid this disaster from reoccurring. So let's keep our eyes on the ball, work with the regional minister and the team to make sure this is resolved. And we'll also support them. The government is poised to ensure that we give them some stepping stone to be able to rebuild. And so for that one, we'll do our best. By the end of today's meeting, we are sure to have some roadmap, and then we'll communicate with His Excellency.
The acting CEO of Maslog, Abigail Elom Mensah, said the government is not going to leave the traders behind in this crisis.
We want to use this opportunity to condole with affected traders here. It's very disheartening to come and see what has happened here. But all we want to say is that government, Maslog, Gender Ministry together, we are not going to allow them go through this alone. Government will stand with them through it all. Government will make sure that how best we can support them, we are going to do it to support them. We can't say that we are going to build the new place for them and put the things, everything they lost inside. However, you know, when something happens to you, somebody can help and then you start to build up. So that's what we are looking at, to give them a grounds to be able to start and then build up again. Once there's life, there's hope. Everything here is gone, but I believe that once they have their lives, we'll be able to support them to be able to build back whatever they have lost. So
I'm tempted to agree with the gender minister saying once they have life, there is hope. But it's a question of how we can prevent this from happening or equip the fire service so that they can douse fires within the shortest possible time without it escalating. Let's get on the phone now and speak to Charles Kusi-Appiah. He's Head Business and Economic Bureau of GUTA. Sir, thank you for joining the conversation. We are hearing reports of about 5,000 traders and shop owners who've been affected by that fire in Edum. How did that news come to you?
Good morning to you and to your viewers, and very good morning to businesses in Ashanti region. This is very devastating, heartbreaking. We've never witnessed such an inferno, devastating a marketplace like this. It was unanticipated, and you could see the heartbreaks, and we share our sympathy with the people that have been affected. We all understand the system we are in now. The economy is struggling, businesses are struggling. So the least that we expected was an inferno ravaging our market. So it comes as a very strong heartbreak to us. And we are praying that God will console us and give us a new means to survive.
Okay. So as we speak, have there been any arrangements made to help these traders who've lost their means of livelihood as we speak? Any arrangements in place?
We are yet to get a clear cut plan from the minister, the regional minister and his team. And as you heard from, I think, a rep, they have no plans of a second space for them to work. And that brings me a lot of worries. You see, as businesses and as managers of the economy, we would have assumed they must have a business continuity plan for every sector of the market, irrespective of whether they are authorized to be there or not. So we will engage them and engage them to ensure that they provide another means of market for the affected people. Remember, these people are breadwinners of their families. They have bills to pay in the house. They have mouth to feed. They have hospital bills. They have loans they have contracted they have to fulfill. We cannot curtail their source of livelihood because probably where they were trading were unauthorized. Regardless, the building that you cited did not crop up overnight. They will receive permits from recognized authority like the KMA to put such structures. We don't want to hear this that where they were unauthorized. We want to know the business continuity plan, the next place that you are going to site for these people to give them some respite, some hope that yes, we have been affected, but we are not left alone.
Mr. Appiah, quick thoughts. You just said something that made me want to interject. You say you don't want to hear that these people were in an unauthorized location and all of that. They should just be helped. Yes, the help must come, but the mere fact that some people may have been where they were not supposed to be is a major part of the problem. Why do you think we should gloss over that? That we shouldn't talk about the fact that, oh, some of these people were in unauthorized locations, especially noting that even the fire service, when it was trying to get in, it could not get in because some places had been constructed that were not supposed to be where they were, and some people were where they were not supposed to be. How can we overlook that?
Let me tell you what. They did not occupy these spaces just yesterday night. They've been there for years. We have city authorities. What have they done about it? So in Akan, we have something we call when people have been affected and their eyes are bleeding blood, it is not that period that you want to tell them what they did was wrong. It's a time to give them some hope. It's a time for you to give them some future. When that is done, and you want to take up your responsibility to clean up the city, then we will side with you. When you have reneged on your responsibilities as a city planner or authority, and our markets have been raged with such inferno, you don't have the moral right to tell us that where we were not authorized, so you not give us the needed help. That is unacceptable. Find solution to the people, then you take up your responsibility to demarcate places that are marketable. Those that assets that you need to create, you create them, and ensure that players within the market are there to set rules. You don't renege on your responsibility and turn around and tell us that where we were not authorized. That is not acceptable.
So there are demarcated areas. I mean, the Ketia market, phases 1 and 2. Why were these people not patronizing, the market?
You understand that Ketia projects have gone through different phases. Even the scam phase of Ketia have not been completed. You have not created market space for people to trade. You have created congestion within the markets. So you don't blame people. You have to take responsibility. That's leadership. And I on this stage, I want to commend the regional minister for showing the leadership. He has been with the market people, the affected people throughout this whole inferno. We appreciate the presence of the president. That also gave some hope. Even the president says that he's going to support the people. So who are you to say that where they were unauthorized and that you have not created, you don't have any option for them to be? That is what we don't want to hear. We want to allow the leadership of Ashanti region to lead the charts in bringing hope and restoring life to these people that have been affected. That is what I want to hear. Truth to be told, yes, we also want to caution our traders to be mindful that whatever we do, there are consequences. So we should try and allow city authorities to do their work, devoid of politics. Today, I'm sure that our lessons have been learned, that we will not do anything to plunge us back to what we are seeing today. It's really devastating.
Just a final bit to you, Sweetie Abochi will come in shortly. Why I am harping on that issue, I've heard talk about NADMO and some relief and all of that. The president has said what he would do. But it's not too long ago when the president was talking about the over 6,000 fires were recorded last year and charging the Ghana Fire Service and all of us to do more. Of course, the Ghana National Fire Service also has its own bottlenecks. But the point I was making was you can even go ahead and give all of these people their seed money. If they go back to the same place, there could be another fire in future, like we've seen year after year, and we'll be right back where we are. So you can talk about the city authorities, but if the education doesn't get down there, we are in for trouble. But the question I have for you basically is this. How come in our part of the world we want to set up these markets and all of that without paying attention to insurance? If some of these traders insure themselves when these things happen, there can be some relief. What do you think?
Exactly, I share that with you. But that's, of course, gets to the point you made about education. Is insurance companies interested in such markets? That's one thing. If they're interested, they would have moved in themselves. They probably have assessed our local market and they've come to a conclusion it's a high-risk environment. So they won't be interested to do that. However, I think going forward, we should have a good plan of our market spaces, the structures, and then make it a policy that every year or so, there will be integrity assessment of our wiring system, our building structures, and the accessibility to the market. So that if there are any anomalies, there will be proactive corrections to avoid some of these things. And also encourage our market players to take up risks and transfer the risks to the insurance people. The insurance people should be interested in taking up such responsibility. And it boils up to education. It boils up to insurance people also giving them the hope that if someone takes insurance policy and is affected by fire or any natural disaster, they'll be willing to support them. That, of course, will bring that confidence for people to take insurance to cover themselves against some of these unforeseen disasters.
Ms. Appiah, I know that GUTA is the umbrella body that represents traders and business operators in this country. So is it part of your mandate to support your members with information on trade regulations and custom procedures and market trends?
It's supposed to be one of our responsibility as trade organization, which, of course, from time to time, we try as much as possible to give them such information.
Right.
But you cannot force them.
No, it's a two-step question. So let me get to the actual question. So it's part of your mandate to actually provide information to these traders in terms of market trade regulations, custom procedures, and market trends. You said that you do not want to hear being chastised about where people who are where they're not supposed to be, obstructing the fire service and all that. But it is your mandate to ensure that these traders have the right information on where to be and where not to be. And so if you say that they've reneged, authorities can't renege on their responsibility, you're expecting a good plan for markets and all that, without doing your part of providing the information for these traders so they know what's right from wrong, can you really blame authorities if they decide that you did the wrong thing anyway? So you bear the cost of it.
You see, as a trade association, especially the Ashanti Business Owners Association, our mandate is to give information. And there's another authority whose mandate is to ensure that what is right is done. We don't have the mandate to enforce laws. That is what I'm talking about, a responsibility of discharging your role as a city planner or manager to ensure the rules are abided to or are complied to the latter. For us as a trade association, the law does not mandate us to enforce or to ensure building permits or ensure business operating permits. It is someone's responsibility. And I can tell you on authority, all these people that are trading in Doom, PZ, the city planner, here, they do come there to toll them. They come and take taxes from them. So you cannot push the blame on trade associations that we were supposed to do that and renege on that.
I'm not pushing the blame on you. I just want clarity on whether or not you are also doing what's you're also discharging your duties.
We have done our part of the engagement. We have done our part of the engagement. But when it comes to enforcement, the law empowers someone to do that. And that is what we are talking about.
So what is your ask? I know that there will be a series of meetings going forward on how you can help these traders who've been affected by the fire. What is the ask? What are you looking for?
Well, basically, we're looking at anything to give them a new base to start from, right? And probably how they can bring back life to the markets, because, of course, it also have economic ramifications in terms of revenue to the government. So as early as possible, the place must be restored. To businesses that have been affected, they should do proper assessment of how much investment they have lost. And if there's any means to support them financially, it's accepted. We also will call for some psychological support because, of course, it has some psychological effects on the life of those that have been affected. So we need both non-financial and financial support to ensure that at least they can see light at the end of the tunnel.
Ms. Appiah, before you go, and on pain of sounding insensitive, because I have covered a lot of these fire, situations, and you see the pain that our market women, I'm sure if you looked at some of them, you would find people who have been through this same scenario twice, thrice, 4 times. No one wants to do this, right? They say if you don't learn from the past, if you don't learn from mistakes, then there's something fundamentally wrong. When you say that, yes, some financial assistance must come to them, I agree. But whose money? Yes, you say taxpayers' money, and you say they also pay taxes. For how long shall we continue doing this? Today it is Odona, tomorrow it is Edum Kumasi, next day it is the next place. How much of taxpayers' money, which can go into schools and all of that, shall we continue using for such things? And my ask is, can we be tougher? Would you say that, I know that if petrol is here and I light a flame, this place will burn. But the authorities are not enforcing that petrol will not be poured here. So I'll still go ahead and light a flame and put it there, knowing the consequences. What role can you, as Guta, you as the same market people, do to regulate better if the authorities are not doing what they ought to? How can you ensure that you are protecting your people so that we don't see something like this? This is devastating. Millions of cities would have been lost.
Very, very. I understand where you're coming from. I think going forward, there'll be much more engagement. There'll be simulations of the effect of some of these events. We also want to recommend that every facility must have facility managers that will time in and time out will be checking activities within the shops and to more or less proactively avert any such occurrences. Yes, we cannot be repeating our mistakes of yesterday and expect support tomorrow. There must be some consequences. And that, of course, after an investigation has been conducted and the real source of the fire outbreak is identified, whoever is culpable should be allowed to face the law. And if that is done, probably it will be a deterrent to other occupants. The other point I want to make is when you are, you are renting your shops to market people, you must be able to spell out items that must be allowed in there, items that should not be allowed in there. And there must be consequences of flouting such rules.
Right.
So that we put ourselves in check. You also want to appreciate when people are not checked, they want to do whatever they want to do to satisfy their whims and caprices. And that must be some check probably we should be professing to ensure that we don't witness some of these things. The other thing I also want to propose that our firemen must be proactive. You see, the world have no clutches for our lame excuses. We cannot always wait and see this devastating on the grounds that they are not well equipped. They don't have water hydrants available to more or less fight fires. You draw in your salaries every month, and you know you have challenges. What have you done about it?
To be fair, Mr. Appiah, they have spoken. To be fair to them, they have spoken time without number right here in our studios and others calling for help. Basically, if they don't have the tenders, the fire service officials can't go and with their bodies try to douse the fire. It's impossible.
let me tell you what. Why I'm saying that. 2 years ago, the Edum Fire Station, they approached us, Ashanti Business Owners Association, and made a complaint to us that one of their car's engine have been down for years. So they need support to buy a new engine so that they can put the vehicle on the road. We mobilized funds and we supported them. So it's not about always calling on government for support. You must have the ability to mobilize funds and support locally because we benefit from your services. That's the proactive leadership I'm talking about. And I'm talking about you doing frequent assessment of where your hydrants are, whether there's accessibility in case of emergencies. That is what I'm talking about. No, we cannot always ask government support. We must also take the responsibility to ensure that whatever we need to make our work efficient, we should do that. And the local businesses are ready to support you. That is the proactiveness, that is the responsibility I am talking about.
Right.
So it's not about coming to tell you to complain about it. You must be seen doing something about it.
Right, and I'm sure the fire service
Because you
will...
your salaries every month.
They will deal with that. Just a parting issue before you go. We also hear that the management of the Ketia Central Market has been dissolved. Have you got that information? Can you confirm that? And how do you feel about it? I hear the Regional Coordinating Council... It has
not come to our notice, and I will not be able to speak to that at this stage. Maybe I'll refer and get back to you on that later.
All right.
Mr. Pierre, this is not a question, just more of an appeal. I beseech you, teach your people and help them on board onto some sort of insurance scheme. Because I don't think you're doing the country any good. If every time something like this happens, taxpayers' monies have to be collated and collected and to help these traders get back on their feet. It falls within your mandate to teach them and, if possible, help them on board onto some sort of insurance scheme. Well, thank you so much for joining the conversation.
Our pleasure. Thank you for the advice then. And
that is Charles Kusiapia, Head of Business and the Economic Bureau at GUTA. That's the Ghana Union of Traders Association. Interesting dynamics. I mean, I've been thinking about it and I had to bring it up. You won't find places in other countries, in some other countries, where you'd be engaging in business like this with no insurance.
It makes no sense to me.
It's pretty dicey. And when something like this happens, because look, I feel for the traders. Millions, if not tens of millions worth of items have been lost. You'd have to look at who was carrying items in there. He was mentioning it. That is flammable. Where if there's a fire, because there are certain things that you shouldn't sell in a certain space. Why are they so crammed together? How do you expect the fire service to come? There are so many issues to look at, but for the life of me, I can't get how you would do something like that without insurance. And it's something that we must really harp on, because all these markets, once it goes down, NIS people of goodwill. The last time it happened, Afenyo-Markin went. Dr. Baumia was there, Cheddar was there. I believe Mahama also did his bit there. For how long shall we?
In fact, Ben, that money
like
also became very controversial, whether or not the money was dispersed for the right reasons. Stay with us. When we return, we'll engage the fire service for more details on this issue. We'll be right back.
It's the world's deadliest infectious disease. And I'm sure when I mention it, you'd be thinking of many different diseases. No, I'm talking of something that is pretty close to us, but something we don't often pay attention to. TB for short, tuberculosis. But the question is, why do we have to focus on TB? Today is World TB Day. And joining the conversation in the studio, we have Dr. Mahama Inshira Essel. She's a public health physician specialist. She's also Ghanai's Director of Health. And joining her, Maxwell Oforiatta. He's a nurse and also the TB focal person in the Ghana East municipality. We're going to talk TB this morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining the conversation.
Thank you for having us.
Maria, I'll start with you. Why do we even need to have this day to commemorate, to talk about TB, tuberculosis?
Okay.
So globally, we celebrate World TB Day on the 24th of March every year, and that's the day that Dr. Robert Koch discovered the bacteria that cause TB. Right. That was a breakthrough in TB case management globally. So that was how it came about that this day was designated as the day that we celebrate globally as World TB Day. So that was a breakthrough in TB case management for all humankind, and since then we've decided to recognize this day as World TB Day. So that is why we select this day for this.
Talking about what causes TB, before I go to Maxwell, it is so common, so rampant. In Africa, we have serious issues here, both with people not even knowing they have it or people not taking their medication and all of that. Why is it crucial for us to even be having this conversation in respect of TB beyond, World TB Day?
So TB, unfortunately, is a condition that is endemic in our parts of the world. When we say endemic, all year round, you find it in the country. So it's a public health threat. It's a public health concern to all of us. And unfortunately, unlike other conditions that are spread maybe through food, through water, with TB, it's airborne. And you and I can't choose when to breathe and when not to breathe. So we are all at risk. And once it's airborne, it means that anyone moving within that area where the tubercle bacilli have been released are at risk of getting it. So it's a threat to all of us. That is why we have this celebration. That's why we are having this awareness.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I know sputum and all of that could also carry some of this bacteria. But coming to you, Maxwell, you are the TB focal person in the Ga East municipality. Sometimes there are issues that lead people not to even want to check themselves out. Poverty, large, condensed populations and all of that. In that municipality, what do you see there when it comes to TB?
Well, thank you for the opportunity once again. So as you alluded to, the issue has to do with stigma and delay health-seeking behaviors. See, the earlier you come, the earlier we can resolve the issue based on the drugs we have. So early health-seeking behaviors is the issue, and our spirituality attached to TB disease and the stigma name pointing has been
spirituality.
Yes. And the name pointing, name issue, he's having it, will not get closer to him. These are issues that hinders the progression of the program. So if you're able to resolve this issue, can come a long way to end the disease, as we want to do in 2030. So it cuts across stigma and delay health seeking. These behaviors are not help to cure the disease. And I must also add that when you look at our disease burden currently, in Ghana, 2023, our disease burden was we're doing around 100,000 per population. You are getting about 129. Currently, we are dealing with 131. And the reason why we are doing this awareness borders on the TB mortality rate. Let's take the World TB World Health Organization report. It revealed that when you pick 100,000 population, you are getting 35% having the disease.
That's about 35,000 people out of 100,000.
Yes. And last 2023, we're doing 41, although it has reduced. But we want it more to come down. So we are preaching on early health seeking. The moment you see that you are coughing, you are exhibiting the signs that director will talk about, come to the hospital and seek intervention. One other issue that has become of a concern is pediatric TB. Now, the data revealed that when about 10%, 8% to 10% of all the cases that you identify, within 8 to 10% should be pediatric TB. But Ghana, for the past years, we are all hovering around 4.5. 2023, we did 824. This year, 2024, last year, we did 924. So we are focusing our attention more on the pediatric TB this year. So if you have a child in the house, a child who is coughing, who is failure to drive, here it means the child is not growing according to his age. It's a matter of concern. A child who is malnourished, you look at the growth pattern of the hair. All these pinpoint a particular thing. So we encourage our mothers to be alert and to open their eyes whenever they see these issues. And with our treatment success rate, last 2023, we did 87%. 2024,
treatment success rate.
Yes, 2024, per the World Health Organization report, we did 90%. We are looking around 95%. That is why we are creating the awareness that do not stay in your house. Don't buy cough measures. Come, let's administer our screening tool to you and see how best we can help you So the director will take on the rest.
And this is quite a concern, pediatric TB. Yeah. So children, and of course we know usually when it comes to children, there are even more hurdles, more challenges in dealing with the situation.
Take the sample is a challenge.
Even how to take the sample.
Yes.
They don't produce sputum like the adults. It's not so easy to get them to actually even produce sputum for you to test. The other thing too with TB is in the past, we call it in Samawa locally.
Yeah.
In the past, before medication was available, it was a death sentence, more or less. So even now, with all the progress that modern medicine has made, there are people who still think that if they have any such sickness, they shouldn't report to a hospital. They think it's more spiritual and that they will definitely die. So they have to seek other sources of help other than the hospital. They have to seek spiritual remedies. Yes, or they have all kinds of things they are doing aside coming to the hospital. What you want people to understand is that now I talked about the fact that 24th March is a day that we choose to celebrate it because that was when they found out that the Mycobacterium tuberculosis is the causative agent. Finding out that is the causative agent means that we could find antibiotics to treat TB. So now there's treatment. Right. It's not like before where there was just, we did not know too much about how to go about the management, but now there are clear-cut guidelines and drugs to treat TB. So people have to understand that now TB is not a death sentence. It's not just the end of your life. There are people who have actually been treated, given medication, completed TB treatment, and have gone on with their lives and are healthy now. So that is the stigma that society attaches to the whole tuberculosis. So people don't like to talk about it and even associate with people who have it or say that they don't want to seek help or they don't want to be slapped with the diagnosis of tuberculosis. So that's one of the challenges we face. People not willing to come to the hospitals or orthodox medicine for support. But some too don't know the signs and symptoms. So they don't even know that it's TB they are dealing with. Education. Exactly. So they know when it's too late. By that time, treatment success might be quite low. Chances of recovery are quite low. So we see that people typically present with cough. That's the commonest that we see. So anyone coughing more than 2 weeks, you have to go to a facility to test for TB. It's a possible diagnosis. People who are coughing, people who have lost weight, significant amount of weight, they also have night sweats. So at night, whether it's hot or not, you see that they are drenched with sweat, loss of appetite, fatigue, and general weakness. You see that they are not doing too well. So these are some of the things that we can use to tell that a person may be a tuberculosis patient. Some too produce sputum when they cough, and the cough the sputum is bloody, is blood stained. The others too present with chest. That's a clear sign there that something is wrong. Yes. And it's one of the symptoms that we have with TB patients. So that, and then also we see chest pain. So these are some of the common signs and symptoms that you see with persons who have TB. That's, of course, a pulmonary TB. We have extrapulmonary TB. That's when it's progressed and moved to, involves other parts of the body aside the lungs. But commonly with pulmonary TB, these are the things that we expect to see. And we are all at risk, actually. Coming to Maxwell quickly on the theme, you spoke about the fact that the numbers have reduced from about 41,000 to 35,000. Was that generally or just in East? Okay, in Ghana as a whole. But we also know that for each person who has TB, the likelihood of spreading it is also high. So 35,000 leaves all of us at risk. And aside that, one thing I must also emphasize is when you look at the World Health Organization report for last year, in Ghana, on daily basis, 39 people are dying of TB. And 121 individuals are falling ill of TB disease. So this is the current standard. So let's imagine 39 people every day last year having TB. What are we doing this year? So that is the question left to be answered. Every day last year, 39 people have dying out of TB. It could be a youthful population. It could not be. This is the lifeblood, the working resource of the country. Human resource, and it's getting wasted. But would you like to walk us through the theme for this year, or should I let Doc do that? Okay. You can walk us. So the theme, we are saying we want to end TB by 2030. So barely we have 5 years to end this. So this year we are going by the theme, yes, we can end TB, commit, invest, and deliver. So when we talk about commitment, we are talking about government, stakeholders, NGO, contributing your token. It can be money, so that you'll be able to end the struggle. When you talk about investment is talking about research.
committing resources into our diagnosis, like the use of the gene expert machines. Then when we talk about delivery, we are talking about the health workers, which encompasses TB treatment, TB prevention, then care to our clients being diagnosed with TB. That is why we are preaching what we call the TB preventive therapy. So let's say I am infected.
TB preventive therapy.
Yes, please.
I see.
So let's say if I have TB, all those around me, they are all contact. So all those people have to screen them using our screening tool. And if they are not eligible, not eligible here means they are not coughing. We put them on a preventive therapy for the period of time, 3 months. That drug is being taken every weekly. So the main purpose of the preventive therapy is to prevent you from latent TB to TB disease. Latent TB here means that we all those in this studio here, we are having TB. But because our immune system is strong, we are not showing the signs. Therefore, we cannot spread the disease. So the moment we progress to the TB disease, then we are having the infection, we are showing the signs and symptoms. So we are preventing moving from being dormant.
And you can also spread.
Yes. So we are giving you the drug from progressing from the TB latent to the TB disease. So that is the main purpose. It's also one of the key program intervention areas that we are also looking at to decrease our case in Ghana.
Let's talk about drug resistance. When you talk about bacteria, usually the case of drug resistance comes through. I've seen reports from, though in Europe, the numbers are not that huge. I think in 2023, the World Health Organization conducted some surveys looking at 170,000 people. But though it was contributing only 2.1% to the global burden, they realized that there was quite a crisis there because of drug resistance. What is the situation in Africa and in Ghana?
So as a country, we also have, we are recording cases of multi-drug resistant TB. So what that means is that these are persons who cannot, who are not going to respond to the normal TB treatment options available. And that's a result. The TB treatment is about 4 to 6 months. In our country, we are doing a minimum of 6 months. So what happens is it's quite lengthy and it's quite difficult for some to comply. And
because you must take your medication
every day for this period.
If you break, it means...
You are not supposed to break. And actually, even in the clinic, we add on the days that you miss so that you still do the full time, assuming there are missed days. But we don't encourage it. And that's why we do something called direct observed therapy, DOTS. Yeah. So when there's a patient, there's a TB nurse or a DOTS nurse who would supervise the taking of the medication. You take it in front of someone. And there are some who are even so skilled that they pretend to have swallowed, but they actually haven't swallowed the medication. So we actually make sure they've taken the medicine, they swallow the medicine, and then you check that they've taken that. It's to prevent this incidence of drug-resistant TB. What happens is there are persons who start, and we talk about it for antibiotics, it's all antibiotics. When you start, you stop, you start, you stop. The bacteria also get adapted to the medication and the things you are given and find means to thrive. So over time, it does not have the effect it used to have. And that's what has brought us to the point where we have drugs that are not able to deal with certain strains of tuberculosis. And that's why as a country, we have drug-resistant TB and multi-drug. So we have some that are rifampicin-resistant. That's one of the tuberculosis drugs. And there are some that are resistant to more than, we have 4 drugs that we usually give to. That's a 6-month course. But there are some persons that are resistant to about 2 or more of these classes, which means that basically the treatment that we are giving at this is not going to work for such persons. Unfortunately, they are moving around and they are breathing out. And we too are also in the community breathing in the air. So you can't tell where they are. So that's also another challenge that we face as a country, the multi-drug resistant TB, both in adults and then in kids. But what I'd like to add is the risk is not the same for all of us. Okay, so all of us here, we don't have the same risk. Although, yes, we do have the risk of getting TB because realize it's in our part of the world. And for all of us, you realize we would have a scar on your left arm. Oh, yeah. That's the PCT, yes. So that's actually to prevent you from getting TB. But even in that, we still see that we have cases. But it's not as bad as it would have been when we did not have those vaccines. However, the risk is not the same. For people who have HIV, their risk is much higher. They have 14 to 18 times likelihood of getting TB compared to a normal person. Right. And so amongst persons living with HIV, TB, that is the lead killer for the persons living with HIV. That's the leading cause of mortality amongst them. Then for people who have compromised immune systems, so people who are diabetic, they too have a higher chance of getting TB. Some who are on cancer treatment, some who are on drugs like steroids. Anything that will suppress your immunity will increase your chance of having TB. So we don't have the same risk. However, of course, depending on your immune system and other factors, some may develop TB more than others. Then also there are those who smoke. Of course, that increases. Smokers have a higher risk than the non-smokers and people who take alcohol. Then those who live in the slums and areas that are overcrowded, there's no ventilation, there are no windows. With such people, if there's just one person, the risk of every other person picking the infection is so high. So these are the risk factors for. So you can assess your risk and then do things to reduce your chance. There are some that are within your control. There are some that are not within our control. So as much as we can control, we do something to reduce that risk. That's something that we should have in mind.
And we do know that other diseases that compromise your immune system also open the door for TB. I don't necessarily want to mention some of those for the sake of not stereotyping. But so we really need to take care of our immune systems. You may have the jab or have taken the jab, but we must all ensure that we protect ourselves. We have to go. And at the end, I just want brief thoughts from you, 20 seconds or so. At the end, I want us all to give this year's theme together, and that's how we'll wrap the conversation. But final words, Maxwell, in about 20 seconds.
What I want to add on is, Director has talked much about the treatment. So with TB treatment, when you're on the drugs for 2 weeks, the likelihood of you spreading the disease to another person is down. That is less infectious. That's why we encourage our clients to take their drugs judiciously for the first 2 weeks and continue. Okay. And my final words is that TB is everywhere. TB is with us. So it takes commitment. Let's not stereotype. Let's bring them together. Let's encourage them to take our drugs to what we call community TB base. Then together we can end the TB that we
Doc, final words.
What I would like to say is TB treatment in Ghana is free in all public facilities. So don't let money be a reason for avoiding a hospital because you think you might have TB, or even if you have a diagnosis of TB. TB treatment in Ghana, the cost is borne by the government. It's free in all public facilities. So everyone must have that in mind.
All right.
Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do this on 3. 1, 2, 3. The theme for the year? Yes, we can end TB. Commit, invest, and deliver. So let's do this together and end TB, the scourge of TB in Ghana. Those who joined us for a conversation, Dr. Mamiya Inshira Essel. She's a public health physician specialist and Ga East Director of Health. We also had Maxwell Oforiatta, TB focal person in the Ga East municipality. Hopefully, you've learned a thing or two. Let's kick TB out of Ghana. Stick and stay. We'll be back with more conversations on the AM show.
You're still watching the AM show on JoyNews. So now let's talk about the Tony Elumelu Foundation. It's a significant award scheme that celebrates individuals who've done fantastic work, have an idea they want to expand on and all that. And every year they give out $5,000 for the person who has the greatest idea to bring it to life. In the studio with me this morning are past beneficiaries of this award scheme to get into a conversation. In the studio with me now is Mawena Ami Yomekpe, CEO and founder of Mod HQ Limited. Millicent Granting-Yoke is Black Girl Media TEF 2019, and Martin Adato is TEF Ghana Hub lead. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Of course, I'll start with Ami because, of course, she's my hometown girl. Ami, how are you doing?
Doing well, thanks. How about you?
I'm fabulous. Let's start with this award scheme and what it has done for you as an individual. Right. First of all, for those who don't know about the Tony Elumelu Foundation program, what is it about?
So the Tony Elumelu Foundation is an organization that wants to build an ecosystem of entrepreneurs in Africa. And by doing so, they want to bring out the next generation of the best business leaders on the continent. Now, every year, they select 3,000 to 5,000 recipients of this award and give seed funding of $5,000 to be able to help your business idea. If you're already established business, they help you along. And not just money-wise, but they also give training to be able to help you push your business to the next level.
How many people receive that money?
For this year, 3,000 beneficiaries.
Wow!
This year, yes.
So 3,000 beneficiaries to receive $5,000 each?
Yes, across the continent of Africa.
Across the continent. That's interesting. I'll come back to you on how it's helped shape your life and the business that you do. I want to engage Martin now. Martin, tell me a little bit about TEF Ghana.
Okay, the Tony Elumelu Foundation was founded around 2014. Its first goal started in 2015.
And I know it's not just here in Ghana. That's why we have the Ghana version. Yeah.
Yes. The vision is to reach out by the founder, the entrepreneur, Mr. Tony Elumelu. He's the founder. I wanted to help or give support to 1,000 people every year with a seed capital of $5,000. On the way, he got partnership from other institutions across the world. So I think in 2021, 2022, we had over 3,000 beneficiaries, as well as this particular 11th one. The idea was to help entrepreneurs and people with extraordinary vision grow up and also support them financially with not just money, but mentorship. You have a mentor around you. You have the business too, the training kits, and whatever will help you. They take you through a vigorous exercise. Then at the end of the day, few are selected out of the lot. Because I remember in 2019, there were over 200,000 people applied, and they need to pick less than 3,000 people. So
I mean, you have to tell me how to get into it, how to apply and all that, because there's a lot of things I can do with $5,000. Millicent, let's talk about you.
Yes.
And your yolk. I said yolk earlier. Yes. Sorry. Yeah. I ate okra soup last night.
No problem.
So how has this award shaped your life? Success stories you want to share with us?
Yes. Yeah. A lot of success stories. So this award, I started out with just an idea, and I applied in 2019. And since then, I have received the funding, received the training. I started my business, Black Girl Media, and has taken me across the world. I have accessed doors that I would never have had opportunity to because of this training, because of the access and the community that this foundation, this program gives to young entrepreneurs like myself.
Okay. What about you? What is MOD? Is it MOD or MOD? MOD. Tell me a little bit about that, and what challenges, if any, that you faced after receiving the award and trying to implement this brilliant idea that you had.
Right. So MOD is an Afrofusion women's wear brand. And at the time that I was applying for the seed funding in 2016, so I was actually part of the second batch.
Okay.
I had already established my business. So I was coming from a place where I had already started something and I just needed help to move it to the next level. And so it was very, very instrumental in helping me do that. And also just allowing space for growth, because when you have access to funding and you have access to certain things that will help your business grow further, you're able to grow and not just rely on your own strength, but then things that other people can also do for you. So it really, really helped with that. So being able to grow the business from where I was to where I am right now was actually quite instrumental for me, because I always believed that Tony Elumelu was my foundation in terms of business training, in terms of even just refining the idea that I had that, okay, is this thing going to work? And going through the process was actually very, very instrumental for me, because it's also helped me to be able to do other things.
Right.
I always come back to some of the learnings from this initiative to be able to help me even apply for other things.
I like
because
that.
You've been able to do the foundation already. So I always encourage people to apply for this program because it's so beneficial in so many other ways.
Martin, you are the lead for the Ghana team. Yes. Tell us, how do you get to even participate in this in the first place? What are the processes? Are they very rigorous? Talk to us.
Okay, first the process starts with announcement. Officially, it starts from 1st January to 31st March. But the previous one ended around 1st March, but they have some extension depending on the demand from the people.
That's good news for me.
And it's very simple. You just apply by going online, just type in www.tefconnect.com.
Okay.
And you see the portal be open. Yes, we have on the portal, you see other sort of application. Probably there are countries that have gone into agreement with the Tony Elumelu Foundation that train 2,300 people for us, because of the level of high integrity and the training, the material, that the sort of training they give to the people, everybody would like to partner with them. I remember in 2018, His Excellency, the former president, Nana Akufo-Addo was there. And after that, when they came up with the idea of the NEIP, N-E-I-P. So it was a good thing. And as you start the process, you apply within the first 3 months. When the process finishes, there's going to be a first shortlisted list that goes through the training process. Even though you are not part of the shortlisted list, you can still go through the training because the portal is open for everybody to learn. In all aspects of business, you will be taught on cash flow, how to create your accounts, so many things. You will have access to mentorship. So after the first stage of application, once they shortlist the first people who go through the first initial training process. You do that. After that process, you go to the training, online training, which is 3 months. At that time, you'll be having access to the training materials. You answer certain questions, and since then, that is the first stage. After moving from that stage, you have the next stage, which is the pitching aspect. But before then, they are going to take your documents and all that, and that is relevant. Your Ghana card, your information. So you need to open a bank account with UBA because they are the partner bank here in Ghana, and they have been very supportive as far as the foundation is concerned, and we want to thank them so much. Then from here, when you finish that one, after the training, you go to the pitching process, whereby you have to do a pitch video, and they will select out of the many. Then document submission will come in finally, and the final stage is the announcement, which happened just this Saturday, and the receiver of the $5,000, then you enter into the next world. But it's just awesome experience that everybody needs to try. One of the best, unique philanthropic foundation that supports entrepreneurship.
All right, we have to go, but Millicent, I want to give you the last word. What advice would you give to the new cohort? You said they were just announced on Saturday.
Yes.
What advice would you share with them if they're listening to you right now? How can they be successful like you all?
I would say take this very seriously. It's not always that you get someone to believe in your dreams, to support you, and to give you $5,000 in cash to actually back your dreams. So take this very seriously. It's okay to make mistakes along the way, but then still keep pushing forward. And then very soon you might be here with us, or you might be the next Tony Elumelu. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And if you have anything to say in 5 seconds, this is it.
Just apply.
Just apply.
Just apply.
Martin, 5 seconds.
We would be glad to go into business with the current government because we also believe in the 24-hour economy and it's an opportunity for entrepreneurs. We'll come to their doors. So we also congratulate the president for winning.
Okay.
Our doors are open.
Well, folks, these are all past beneficiaries of the Tony Elumelu Entrepreneurship Program. And in the studio with me, Amawena Ami Yomekbe, CEO and founder, Mod HQ Limited, Millicent Cranton York, Black Girl Media. She's also a recipient, TEF 2019. And of course, Martin Adato, TEF Ghana Hub lead. Folks, stay with me. When we return, we'll get straight into the trends with Jacqueline and Lois Shola Adeyemi. But before I go, are you ready to dream, dare, and deliver in the world of IT? Look no further than Jackson Institute of Technology, the only institution authorized training center in Ghana. Now, at GIT, we provide world-class IT training for individuals and corporate organizations, equipping you with industry-relevant skills in software development, cybersecurity, networking, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, digital marketing, and the list goes on and on. And we offer globally recognized certifications, practical job-ready training, and flexible hybrid learning options, which allows you to study online or on-site. And our expert instructors ensure hands-on learning experiences that prepare you for success in today's world. So conveniently, we are located at Ring Road, near Circle, in the heart of Accra's Central Business District. And in Kumasi, of course, you can find them at Jackson Educational Complex HQ, Ayeduase, near KNUST. Now, GIT provides easy access for students and corporate clients. So our state-of-the-art auditorium is also available for corporate events, seminars, and training sessions. Give us a call or send us a WhatsApp message on these numbers, 059-699-6037 or 059-699-60, or visit our website, www.git.edu.gh. GIT, your gateway to a thriving IT career. Coming up next in the trends with Jackie and Sola. Stick and stay.
You get it's happening now. Let's listen to the president.
The distinguished members of the Armed Forces Council reaffirm the critical role of this body in the governance and administration of our military. The responsibility placed on your shoulders as a council is one of great national importance. The strength of our armed forces depends not only on the bravery of the men and women in uniform, but also on the leadership, policies, and decisions that guide them. Your mandate is clear: to provide strategic leadership and oversight that ensures the Ghana Armed Forces remain an effective, modern, and disciplined force. To uphold the highest standard of governance, professionalism, and accountability within the military. To safeguard the welfare of our officers, men and women who risk their lives in the service of our nation. The decisions you make as a council will shape the future of our armed forces. It is therefore imperative that you approach this duty with wisdom, integrity, and a deep commitment to national service. In today's world, the nature of our security threats is rapidly evolving, from terrorism and cybercrime to political instability and climate-related security challenges. Our armed forces must remain prepared to respond effectively in any circumstances. This means we must invest in the necessary tools, training, and infrastructure to keep our military strong, adaptable, and ahead of emerging threats. This administration remains unwavering in its commitment to the modernization of the Ghana Armed Forces. We'll continue to prioritize the following. 1, capacity building programs that enhance the skills and expertise of our personnel, ensuring that they are equipped to handle both conventional and unconventional threats. 2, investment in modern military technology and equipment to strengthen our national defense capabilities. 3, enhanced infrastructure development, including improved barracks, training facilities, and logistics support systems. 4, improved welfare and support systems for military personnel and their families, recognizing that the well-being of our armed forces extends beyond the battlefield. In recent years, we've seen the increasing role of technology in warfare, drone technology, intelligence gathering, and defense coordination. As a nation, we must embrace this reality and work towards a defense strategy that leverages innovation, data-driven security solutions, and modern military practices. Ghana has long been a beacon of peace in West Africa and beyond. Our armed forces have played a significant role in regional and international peacekeeping operations, working alongside global partners to restore stability in many conflict zones. Our commitment to regional security cooperation remains strong, and as a nation, we will continue to strengthen our partnerships with our regional bodies such as ECOWAS and the African Union, as well as our international allies, to collectively address security challenges that affect not just Ghana, but the entire globe. The Armed Forces Council must work to deepen these engagements, ensuring that Ghana's military remains at the forefront of peacekeeping, counter-terrorism, and cross-border security initiatives. We'll continue to support training exchanges, intelligence sharing, and joint operations that enhance our ability to respond to global security threats. Distinguished members of the Council, the strength of any military is built on the foundation of discipline, integrity, and ethical leadership. It is not just the weapons or the size of an army that define its effectiveness, but the character, morale, and professionalism of its personnel. Ghana has long prided itself on having one of the most disciplined and respected military forces in the world, and we must never take this for granted. As members of the Armed Forces Council, you must ensure that the highest standards of ethical conduct, transparency, and accountability are maintained within the ranks of our armed forces. Corruption, misconduct, and abuse of power must have no place in our military. Your leadership must inspire confidence, fairness, and trust, both within the armed forces and among the Ghanaian people. A strong military is one that earns the respect of its citizens through service, integrity, and unwavering dedication to duty. To the gallant officers, men and women of the Ghana Armed Forces, I want to take a moment to express our deep gratitude for your service and sacrifice. Your unwavering dedication to duty ensures that our dear nation Ghana remains peaceful, stable, and secure. Many of you have left your families behind for extended period, serving in difficult and dangerous environments. You've responded to national emergencies, provided humanitarian assistance, and defended our borders against threats. Indeed, several of you have paid the ultimate sacrifice for your nation. The government recognizes these sacrifices and will remain committed to supporting you in every way possible. Your welfare, professional development, and operational needs will always be a top priority. We'll continue to advocate for better conditions of service, access to quality healthcare, and opportunities for career advancement within the military. In conclusion, as we move forward, let us all commit to working together to build a stronger, more modern, and more resilient Ghana Armed Forces. To the newly sworn-in members of the Ghana Armed Forces Council, I urge you to embrace this responsibility with dedication and a clear vision. Let us ensure that our military remains not just an institution of defense, but a symbol of national unity, excellence, pride, and progress. Together, we can shape the future of our armed forces for generations to come. At this point, I would also like to extend my sincere gratitude to the outgoing members of the Armed Forces Council and the service commanders who have diligently served our nation. Your dedication and leadership have contributed immensely to the strengthening of our military and maintaining the high professional standards and discipline that have been a mark of the Ghana Armed Forces. Your service has been invaluable, and Ghana is deeply grateful for your efforts. On this note, I also wish to congratulate all newly sworn-in members of the Armed Forces Council. I have no doubt that you will serve with honor, wisdom, and unwavering commitment to Ghana. May God bless you all, and may God bless our homeland, Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Another round of applause, please. Thank you, Mr. President, for the renewed commitment to the Ghana Armed Forces. It is now my pleasure to kindly invite Her Excellency Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, Chairperson of the newly sworn Ghana Armed Forces Council, to deliver her remarks. A round of applause, please.
I refer to the protocol established by our boss and greet all of you. Thank you for being here. I think there's something we can all notice. Those of us who've paid attention to other swearing-in ceremonies will notice that this is the only one we don't have family and friends to take pictures. And I think that the import is not lost on any one of us. It's a very, very solemn event, more so than a celebratory one. We are talking about the security of our country. It is not the appointment that we have fanfares about. And I want to thank our President for the honor done us. And I want to assure him that as members of council, we will rise to the responsibility and ensure that his confidence is not misplaced. I think this is very important. As a council, we accept to serve diligently, loyally, with patriotic zeal to reset the Ghana. Reset the Ghana Armed Forces too, to ensure that we have peace, we have stability for our beloved nation. So we want to ensure that the Ghana Armed Forces retain, sustain, and even extend its reputation, which is established globally. We are very proud of our armed forces, and we know that they have even further to go. Congratulations. And this is also the time to remember those who've come before us and all the roles they have played. And our pledge is to ensure that we strengthen and even add on to what they have established, which is very admirable and which we celebrate. And as an advisory council, as a council, we are in an advisory position, very separate from management, but ending with us. And this is something we need to take very important notice of, so we don't mix our rules. And therefore, we will ensure that we give sound advice on matters of policy, those that relate to defense, to strategy, including military budgeting and finance, administration, and promotion of officers above the rank of lieutenant colonel or its equivalent. We know that our country is facing some challenges in terms of security, our borders, even internal challenges. And therefore, we need to pay attention to all of these, even as we pay attention to our bilateral and multilateral relations in relation to security. They are all very important. There are times when we can't go alone. We have to follow an ECOWAS, we have to call on the AU, and we have to negotiate well to ensure that our people, the men and the women, return peacefully, return with all the knowledge that they have acquired in the process. We should also not be, we shouldn't forget about other illegal things going on in the country. We have illegal mining, illegal logging, illegal unreported and unregulated fishing piracies, violent extremism, terrorism. These remind all of us, even chieftaincy disputes, all of these should remind all of us that there's a lot of work ahead. As a council, we pledge to play a role, and we want to invite everybody to come along. Security, as they say, is everybody's business. We also know that we are facing, an economic crisis. That's what it is. And this has saddled the Ministry of Defense with a debt of 3.7 billion Ghana cedis, including a 275 million indebtedness to food suppliers. We need to improve infrastructure, including housing. We have a huge deficit. But we also know that there's so much capability in our military forces. We also know the roles they can play towards advancing our 24-hour economy. The military doesn't lack talent or skill in any of our disciplines. So we call on you to support us. We have the DIHOC, that is the Defense Industrial Holding Company, and this requires private sector participation for food production, for infrastructural development, for many things. It will not be too much to expect that in the manufacturing sector, even vehicle assembly, the pharmaceutical production, whatever, we see our Ghana Armed Forces participating effectively in all these So we invite all of us, especially our armed forces, to champion the 24-hour economy through what they also do. And we want to assure our president that the Ghana Armed Forces will continue to use the methods that are humane, the methods that are effective in their, including modern technology in whatever form, to enhance operational efficiency of the forces. So, Mr. President, we want to thank you and we want to assure you that we'll carry the mandate you have reposed in us and we'll continue to dialogue with you whenever necessary. This is also the time for me to add my voice to what our boss has said in relation to the outgoing CDS and chiefs and service chiefs. We want to commend them highly for what they have done for this country. And we know that sometimes when you leave, your knowledge, your examples don't leave. And I mention in particular General Thomas Opompepra, the Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Bismarck Kwesi Onguna, Chief of Army Staff, Vice Admiral Issa Adam Yakubu, Chief of Naval Staff, and of course, Air Marshal Frederick Asari Kwesi Bekwin, Chief of Air Staff. We want to thank you. God bless you in your immediate and remote activities. Thank you all for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice President, for those reassuring words. We've got into the photo section. As you may be well aware, this is an important aspect of our program for posterity. So without much ado, thank you, Mr. President. We'll take the national anthem and then we'll do the photo session, then we can proceed. So please, may we be upstanding? National anthem, please.
Welcome back on the AM show, and that's how we cap off the show. We have one last bit we're bringing your way, but let me salute Manoj Sewani, Kwame as we call him, my Indian brother who is called Kwame. He fitted me out today with this lovely suit, tie, and the shirt as well. If you'd like to get something this spectacular all the way from Hong Kong, all you have to do is call this number, 0244 323837, or alternatively 0264 323837 for bespoke clothing, tuxedos, suits, and more.
Well, that's how we're wrapping up the show. Two beautiful women standing here wanting to bring you in the trends. They're unable to do that, so they're joining me in the back as we sign out. Yes. And that's a Monday edition. Guys, when is the Black Stars game playing?
7 p.m. tonight.
Okay, you can see them ready. So it's time to bring back the love for the Black Stars. Definitely. What are your predictions quickly?
We are spelling Madagascar today, so
that's a lot. So Ben says
no,
10, we can't.
No, if we're able to do 5, what is
Madagascar?
I know, right?
8, 9, 10.
176.
That was a child abuse.
You think you are?
Now we are doing what Madagascar was.
This one is a Madagascar takeover.
Right. You want to stay with us because coming up next, we're bringing you Ghana Growth Changing Narratives, which is brought to you by MasterCard Foundation in collaboration with Springboard Roadshow Foundation. Coming up now. Bye for now. Go Ghana Black Stars.
Go!
Bye.